Hello and welcome to Group C of the round of 24, the final group of the first week of this ASL Season 19, where extraordinary things happen one after another. Yesterday's Group B likewise had some unexpected results, as Tier 3 player Speed emerged as a new Terran hero, and Tier 1 player Rush followed in his steps to advance to the round of 16. Who will stay alive and move on to the round of 16 today? Let's have a word with our 4 players in this group. Hello, welcome. First up, Tier 1 player Best. Hi. Hi. You leave the regret of last season behind, as you're once again in the tournament proper. You're the kind of player whose absence from the main tournament is something difficult to even imagine, which makes me think you're determined as ever this season. Right. Getting eliminated last season led to me not having been in the round of 16 for a while. I felt empty, so this time I want to make it past the round of 16. I personally think this is not an easy group, so I had to steel myself coming here. Wrapping up your stream yesterday, you said you were trembling, you were nervous, but you will try to advance. It's curious that a player with your experience would be nervous. What part made you feel this way? It's just the feeling of playing in a tournament. I feel excited, I feel nervous, but this is more of a positive feeling than a negative one. I want to play and win whilst in a good mood. Best seems to have come prepared with a lot of things as he engages with an excited mindset. Let's talk to BTS, aka True. Hi. Hello. This is your first time qualifying for an official tournament in StarCraft 1, having won the finals of ACS. How are you feeling ahead of playing in the ASL? The ACS was announced and I just chose to participate. I'm a little nervous, but I'll try my best. You say you're nervous, but it's hard to believe because up until the interview, I saw you were engaged in banter with mine. What did you guys talk about? Oh, have you practiced and such, asking stuff like that. He was scoffing at me when I said I will advance. With the careers the players in Group C have under their belts, whenever you were dispatched to this group, you must have had a lot going through your mind. All of these guys are very good, and when I practiced, I realized, wow, StarCraft really is a difficult game. It wasn't easy, but I will try and do well today. So I guess Mind was the first person to hear how motivated you are to advance. Let's talk to Mind then. It occurs to me that, from your perspective, last season must have been a bit of a disappointment. It's a fresh season, you will have come with a fresh mindset. How are you feeling? Having been knocked out in the round of 24 last season, this time I do want to advance. The group is not an easy one, so I prepared diligently, and as long as I do well, I think there is a chance I break through. When Barracks saw how much you were preparing off-stream, he said, "What the hell, how much is this guy preparing?" There is a rumor you have an axe to grind this season. Who said that? I just prepared the same way. In any case, you know, I've heard people say my TVT has been lacking recently. I think that's what I prepared a lot for. What are your thoughts on BTS saying he will advance? What was the meaning of that smile when you scoffed? Like, what, advance where? There's somewhere for you to advance? But let me say this, I do think he is an underdog here, but he is a Zerg with tricks up his sleeve. It's tough to make heads or tails of it. I always get the impression he can't play, but somehow he still wins. It would not do for me to dismiss or ignore him here. And so a slight grin of nervousness and having to stay on your toes perhaps. Let's have a word with Barracks too. Hello. Hello. Today is your 10th appearance in the main tournament. You must be feeling lots of emotions. Considering you show clear signs of growth, time in and time out, there's a lot of expectations surrounding you this season too. What do you think? I want to show people how I'm improving, so I work hard, and I wanted to show I've improved even more this season. So I've come here having practiced a lot. Perhaps the fact that you advanced through the round of 24 in first place both last season and the season before that is the biggest reason behind these expectations. How likely would you say it is for you to advance in first place today as well? Today's group is tough, but whenever I play, I aim for 2 straight wins. I'll be confident today and try to advance with 2 wins again. Got it. Let's dive deeper into our discussion about Group C. The following question is once again for Barracks. Now, we've only had 2 groups played in the round of 24 so far, but the ruckus caused by Tier 3 and Tier 4 players can't be overstated. Having watched those games, I want to know what your take is on the Tier 3 and Tier 4 players in Group C. How did you enjoy those previous broadcasts? Oh, yesterday was a massive mishap. I've been in the same group as Hyun before, and I always thought of him as a one-trick pony, and today BTS can likewise pull something out. It can't be taken lightly. If we end up playing, it won't do for me to be careless. Both Mind and Barracks are saying BTS is a Zerg who can pull one big punch, and Tier 3 and 4 players were very active in Groups A and B. With that in mind, do you, BTS, as a Tier 4 player, also see this as I need to step it up today? Right, yeah, but you know, I don't just have 1 punch in me. You've got 2, you've got 3? Yeah, I'll pull 2 or 3 punches. You're saying looking at you as a one-trick pony is an oversight? Yeah. Oh, I see. Well, you're certainly raising expectations, BTS. Turning to our next question, the Tier 1 and 2 players of Group C, Best and Mind, you guys have met 10 times in total in the ASL. That's a lot. In Best of Ones, Best is leading 3-1, and in Extended Series, Mind is leading 4-2. If you were to meet today, it's the round of 24, so it's a best of 1. I want to hear what your guys' take is on that. Best? I don't really pay much attention to that. Rather than focusing on my opponent, I try and play well myself to win. As long as I do well, I should be able to win. And how do you feel having warmed up today? It wasn't bad, but I'll have to first play BTS to know. Oh, you need to face BTS first to know if you're all warmed up. Right. Got it. Mind, the storyline between you and Best is something we're focusing on. If you meet today, what will it be? If we meet, then that will be good, because it means I've gone to the winners match. Wait, you just said BTS can pull some punches. I meant in ZVT, but not in ZVP. Yeah, ZVP, there's maps, it just won't be easy. So it will be nice for me to play Best, because it means it's in the winners match. I understand. Looking forward to seeing if this 11th match between the two comes to fruition. Let's hear your final words of resolution. Best? I got knocked out last season and had nothing to do since then. I will advance and ensure I have things to practice for a while. Good. BTS? It feels nice to be on stage again after a long time. I'll do my best to show what I have prepared. Looking forward to a good match. Mind? I will make sure to go to the round of 16 today. Okay, and lastly, Barracks? I'll try and show good games according to how I prepared. Can't wait. Looking forward to good games from you guys. Thanks for the interview. And that does it for our interview with the 4 players of the final round of 24 group of the first week of ASL 19. Let's kick things off and see which 2 will stay alive to fight on throughout the rest of the season.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Group C here in the round of 24, Season 19 of the ASL. Exciting day today. Tough group to call who exactly is going to be moving out of here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of upset potential all over the place. And in fact, I have a hard time even choosing who the top two are. I think that True probably has the hardest time coming up. Obviously, BTS, the Zerg player, of course, everyone wants to change their IDs and make sure that no one can remember who they are. But that's True from the old StarCraft 2 days. He was a Jin Air player. And played for some other teams as well. He had some good success in StarCraft 2. And honestly, I think he's really good. He's in very good shape right now. But Best Mind and Barracks are all looking extremely, extremely strong.
Yeah, and I didn't sleep on True here either. This guy was a real monster at times, one of the very best StarCraft 2 players that there was when he was in his prime. So, he could surprise us here. We've already seen a couple of the StarCraft 2 guys coming back and looking really good, like with TY.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that both Rain and Sulky were StarCraft 2 legends that then came back and had very dominant periods. In fact, Sulky, of course, still dominant. Let's see how he does exactly here. Mind has been very much improving. He looks extremely strong and a real threat. Barracks is in great shape. Best is always looking good. He has consistently been unable to win an ASL. And then a lot of the ASLs, he doesn't get that deep. He's had a couple of moments where he's gotten a little bit further in there. But we'll see if he's in that kind of tournament condition he needs to be in to perform here today.
I just think this is a fantastic group. One of the best groups, for sure. True is such a wild card. Best is always awesome, as you said. Barracks and Mind, that is the clash of styles. We have Barracks, who is mechanically really good right now. He just keeps improving. He might actually surpass people like JYJ and Royal, permanently coming up here. And then Mind is, the exact opposite. He just is the thinking man's Terran, the scholar Terran, as they used to call him. And he really still plays like that. He's really smart. He finds his timings. He knows what to do. He makes great plans. So that match alone, I'm really excited about.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I think there's a lot of different ways that each of these games could go. I think there isn't any obvious call. Very surprising for me, by the way, just to see True here at all. It was kind of I didn't even really realize he was back and playing StarCraft 1 until I saw him in the lineup. So this is going to be a fun one. A lot of these guys that come from StarCraft 2 have brought a lot of very different ideas and approaches.
So true.
Strategically, build order-wise, it's been very fascinating to see. StarCraft 1 and 2 are very similar to each other, but there are these certain operating principles and approaches that have been very different in the past. Excuse me, I'm choking here. So it's really cool when you see a top-tier world-class player from one switch over to the other and see what ideas they bring there. Yeah,
and we have so many of them right on the brink. TY almost made it this season. MC came so close this season as well. But True won the ACS, and he is in good shape. I've actually casted so many of his games. I got really excited to see him and rising up the ladder and everything. And he really does bring a completely different style than the other Zergs. I'm actually very excited about him as he continues to improve at StarCraft 1. But like I said, this group might be a bit too much. You can't sleep on Best in early rounds. He's a juggernaut in these early rounds.
Damn, Best over there with a huge Americano. I know the little coffee shop next to the studio where he gets that.
Mammoth
That
coffee.
is like a big gulp size amount of Americano. He's going to be very caffeinated all night. Very cool to see True back here. I believe it was the tournament that we both casted in Montreal.
Yes.
Where we saw True just murdering everybody. He kind of stole the whole show. Retired, I guess, in kind of the middle of StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
Had a good run, and then, like a lot of these guys, sometimes they step away. They want to try to do something else. And it seems like in that downtime, he was just playing StarCraft 1 during this big StarCraft 1 revival, this big resurgence. And clearly he's in good enough shape. He's able to make it into ASL. So, top 24 in the world here. And it's going to be a big test. I mean, is this going to be a kind of crazy one-off where we all go, remember when True was here that one time? Or could he actually tear through this group and maybe go deep?
I don't know. I'm excited to see it, though, because he is very fun. His style is very, very cool. We're going to go into clips for match 1 here. Best against True.
Okay, going into our first game here on Eclipse, it's Best here in the top right, and True in the bottom left. He is going by the ID BTS, but we'll be referring to him as True since that's what he's better known as.
That's his. That's just
again,
his initials, Bang Tae-soo. So.
Oh,
very
I assumed
original.
it was the boy band. I was like, that's really lame.
No,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I thought at first. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, his name.
I mean, it's a safe bet, right? You see
Yeah.
BTS, you see somebody from Korea, you go, okay, I guess I know where you got that from. Real quick, guys, the plug that we do every time we start a day of ASL, we just hope we can get your guys' support on Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English. We have been keeping the history of StarCraft alive. This game is a quarter of a century old. The support has been incredible. We love you guys so much for it, but consider signing up. It would mean the world to us, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you.
Thank you very much, everyone. You know, Brood War is in good hands with you guys helping out. So thank you very much. Check it out again, patreon.com/ASL English. All right. So, you know, I feel like True's ZVP is generally pretty aggressive. So I wouldn't be like too surprised if. Oh, what are you owing about?
Did you notice? Did you notice he stopped the Overlord there? There's a trick where players will sneak underneath the Overlord, and then cannon rush. But he had it parked there for a little bit, so he looks like he has some kind of timing for that setup. But I think this is still going to be the same trick. He just takes another alternate path down here.
Yeah, he's going around.
He's gone underneath it. You basically go through the blind spot, and you're easily able to cannon rush. So he has a second drone here ready to stop this.
Yeah.
True,
So,
very thorough with how he's... Okay, he's got to get to the other side. This is going to be really hard to pull off. Oh, my God, he blocked himself out. No. Now he could loop back around and cancel it on the other side.
True's ready for him. True's ready for him.
Oh my God, that's one of the craziest tricks. So if you make it a simulator there, it makes it... Oh, my God, I'm knocking the mouse. I'm going to break this recording here, Tastosis. Okay, sorry, I'm knocking the mouse off my desk when I'm casting this. You can make it a simulator there, and you'll fit through, and then you can cancel it, and it seals it up. So he makes room for a second cannon. You basically need two cannons here if you're going to have the rush work. You can't do the cannon. You can't do it with one. He's got the second cannon started, but this was a little bit later than it would have been ideally.
Dude,
so we got to see how this is going to go.
This is crazy. The probe parkour to get over there, and now he has the two cannons. He brings a second probe down. He's microing it really well. And True says, screw it, we're just canceling it. So Best cancels one of the cannons. Wow. Wow. What a crazy opener to this game.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, so he actually pulled it off, and True decided to not like commit into this and try to give it his all and stop it. He cancels. He goes to his third base. He takes his his first gas. So it's going to be a pretty early gas here. A lot of times Zergs will get their gas after their third hatchery. Now, the problem here is that Best can develop pretty normally back at home. I mean, his Nexus is delayed, but of course it doesn't matter because he delayed his opponent's hatchery. But I want to see what kind of game True's going to give us here.
Really hard to say. Like, you know, he's been thrown off so far at this point. He is mining quite a bit of gas at the moment. Obviously, you want an additional hatchery. Maybe he makes it, like, above here. Okay, he does have a line of Zerglings here. So he starts the hatch, and he might just be doing that to tank up a few hits here and get in with the Lings. But goes after it. This is actually one of the cleanest clears I can even imagine. That was expertly done by True.
Yeah, almost surgical precision there with how he got in. And so he's going to have his third hatchery up here. I got to say, maybe one of the most clean post-cannon rush holds I've seen.
Yes.
You know, he canceled. He made his other hatchery. He patiently waited until he had, I guess it was maybe like 10 Zerglings is the magic number, and then just runs through.
So I have a couple thoughts about this, okay? Like, probably about 4 thoughts that I want to run through real quickly. But first off, Best cannon rushes more than everyone else in ASL. I just want to put that out there. He's been in, I think, all but like one season, and he has done by far the most cannon rushes against
That's
Zerg.
true.
Okay, so True was kind of ready for it, but also the cleanness with which he... Okay, first off, the drone waiting for the probe, I thought Best was going to have to cancel and just make a Nexus. You know, I'm like, oh, you know, he's got a drone. Oh, he brings a second drone. This looks really good. And then he parkours over and makes it work anyways. that was really, really good execution. But the fact that True just cancels out and like cleans it really, really well, because sometimes you see people clean these cannon rushes and it's a little bit messy. It kind of reminds me, you know, in StarCraft 2, like you couldn't really stop cannon rushes very well because everything's tight when you make it. And obviously True played that for a long time. So I wonder if that might have come into play a little bit with where he was more decisive than most Zergs I see against these cannon rushes. He knew what he wanted to do. He went for it immediately. Nothing was wasted on his side.
Your cannon rushes are very circumstantial. I do a decent amount nowadays, and I just do them on maps where they work, where if I see someone go hatchery first, I go, okay, you're not respecting, you know, the opportunity that I have. I'm going to do this rush. But yeah, just in StarCraft 2 are a lot more brutal and a lot, I think, you know, more complex and difficult to deal with. Not that there's not complexity in the early game cannon rush of StarCraft 1, but it's kind of simple. But yeah, True completely cool as he handled that. Now, he's got one Zealot being chased, but that's basically a decoy to let these other two Zealots run in here. And he wants to try to kill as many drones as possible, and after that, probably wedge the Zealots behind the minerals.
That's a really great move from True. I mean, from Best. True here, you know, he wants to go for 3-hatch Hydra. We already saw that Hydralisk Den, but now he has to clean these Zealots out. He can't, he's not, well, okay, he makes a Hydra, so he shows exactly what's going on at this point, and that's going to give Best more than enough time. But the thing is, True can just turn this into a macro game. He already started his 4th hatch anyways. So, you know, Best is going to make the cannons, and, you know, I'm sure True will bring these across the map, but I feel like this is just going to go into a pretty regular and big macro game.
There is like a 4-hatch Hydra bust that happens in a lot of post-cannon rush games. And I've experienced it enough. I remember the first couple times it happened, I'm like, is this, that's like kind of a weird one-off strategy, but I've seen it enough times, it seems like it works. And I guess the idea is that they don't actually have enough room to make all the cannons, and the Templars get so delayed overall with this.
Okay.
That if you're fast enough when you recover, they can bust you down. I don't know for sure that that's what this is, but I see no layer, I see 4 hatches, and I see Lings and Hydras headed over to the entrance.
Okay.
And sometimes even when they get stormed, you kind of run back and dodge it. It's a really weird thing. And so let's see if we can have it happen here now. And remember that when you see a cannon rush happen, whether it succeeds or fails, the game's in a different spot than if it had never happened, right?
For sure.
So it seems like some Zergs have this mapped out where it's like, actually, you can make like a lot of Hydras and maybe force this down. Because see, the Templar Archives is just now going to finish. So Templars with enough energy and Psystorm finishing is pretty far away, right?
So far, we've only really seen mostly drones coming out on the other side. Best right now, sacrificing some Zealots. He's trying to get his +1 to finish. He did start another Forge in the main base, but really wants that +1. He's going to come out again here. And you can see this is quite the dance to try to get this +1 done.
Yeah, I think it's actually going to finish. I think you're right, Artosis. I miscalled there. I thought this was going to be that bust, but it looks like Hydras are basically staying back home, and with a couple more drones being made. A layer started an Evo chamber. I guess, you know, when the Corsair scouts that and sees more Hydras, it does force more cannons, right? Like we saw back there. And now with the Corsair gone, I believe it was shot down, he's going to send more over here, so he might actually go back into this attempted aggression. Again, the Templar's not out. Storm probably close to being done, but not quite done yet.
Well, layer is on the way. The extra Hydras are coming up, but between the Speed Zealots and this many cannons, it's going to be like 8 cannons. I don't think you attack in here. I don't think it works, right? That's not quite enough. But he is making more. Maybe it is that bust you were talking about, Tastosis.
Yeah, it is where I've experienced this a couple of times, and every time I think I'm going to be fine, and then I die. I like the micro here with the Zealots. He kind of pushes him in, just not all the way into attack, but just enough to like lose shields, and then kind of runs back. And we have the first Templar out, 55 energy on that. And remember that you can, you know, set this up for a Lurker Contain later. Lurker Contains are great on this map too.
Yeah.
And that may be what we have here.
I actually saw recently a game with an old school proxy hatchery sunken spore Lurker Contain on this map recently. So I wonder if we could see that in this ASL
that's a
as
throwback.
well. Yeah, I was oh my gosh, I haven't seen that in a long time.
There was a period where like every PvZ, the Zerg would just make a hatchery outside of your base, Lurker spores and sunken colonies. It was brutal.
Yeah.
And I guess the modern theory now is that you can do fine with just the Lurkers, but yeah, maybe we'll see that kind of come back. You know, I don't see why necessarily, if you're going to just make the whole game about not letting them out of their natural base, I don't I don't see a really good argument for why you wouldn't want to have a hatchery there with, like, let's say a
Sure.
spore.
Yeah.
Like, I think the hardest part about PvZ, and there's a lot of hard parts about it, is honestly keeping observers alive. I think there are not many other matchups where you can find something that is that difficult. The observer is like an F-class unit. It's so slow.
Yes.
I mean, I know it's cloaked. If it wasn't, I can't even imagine a worse unit. But, you know, Hydras, Scourge, Mutas can snipe that stuff down so easily.
That's actually, Noni used to say the same thing. He used to talk about how Spore Colony was the most broken thing in the entire game. It's like invincible,
like
and it's like rapid fire, and like it kills observers so quickly. All that.
I mean, the observers, they're just so slow when they start out. The number of times I've seen a turret and like thought I reacted fast enough, and I watched that final missile just kill the observer, and I'm like, oh my god. By the way, he's kind of backed out. I thought we were going to have a lurker contain. It seems like maybe not. The Dark Archon setup, by the way, is preempting Mutalisks. So a lot of times, if you go for a bunch of Hydras early on, see like we have now here, Mutas will come out next. And the idea is when the push comes, the Mutas kamikaze into the Protoss army, and they snipe each of the Templars. And so Dark Archons are used to basically blind counter this. And so they use Melee Storm, freeze them, and then, you know, Storm and Dragoons and everything else can just kill it. By the way, I thought this Corsair was dead, unless it's a new one, but I guess it actually went all the way back into this spot over here.
The Muta's going to go down and start harassing the probes a bit, and he actually does get it. He needs a Psystorm to hit, though.
Oh my god, he did...
Does
that hit them all?
Okay, he had to use 2 Storms, though. The Dragoon actually got in the way of the High Templar there, so he kind of like panicked through it up, because Maelstrom doesn't last that long. But that was a great move from Best. I have to say, you know, we used to, like, a long time ago, you look back in time, and, like, Best has been one of the best Protosses for, you know, like, almost 20 years at this point. But we used to really think of him just as, like, a great macro player. But, like, this guy uses Dark Archons more than any other Protoss. He cannon rushes more than any other Protoss, but still has that great macro base. I just love watching him play, man. He is amazing.
Yeah, I feel like it's really easy to be a fan of this guy.
Yeah.
Even if you don't play Protoss.
Absolutely.
You know, like a lot of times you play one race, so you kind of always look at it from one perspective. But, I mean, he's just a really fun player, and he's got a lot of cool ideas. He uses Dark Archons a lot in PvP as well. It's kind of cool to see, by the way, True just go back in the Mutas. He's basically like, okay, well, you're not going to have like a bunch of Dark Archons. I think it's 100 energy to freeze them.
Yeah, it is. And this is actually a very regular True thing. True actually plays Hydra Muta most of the time in mid-game to late game. Where, oh my god, look at this. You can see he snipes really quite well, but we'll end up losing a lot. But he does like these very kind of tempo-oriented plays where he swings back and forth between Hydra and Muta, and he just focuses on killing off High Templars and killing you with Hydras. I've seen a lot of games of True doing this.
And it's very much like the way that he played StarCraft 2. Like, in your face, you know, constantly, you know, Baneling counterattacks, Ling counterattacks. He was just kind of he's a frustrating player if you're going to try to be out on the map. As the guy that's trying to push, that's got this, like, slow, strong, but lumbering army. True knows how to exploit that. So I think we saw him whittled down to about 2 Templars. Really, you always want 4. And then sometimes you end up getting more Templars in, like, a much later game because you're storm dropping. He's remade the Mutas. I only see 2 Templars right now. So, I mean, those Mutas could just dive. Oh, never mind. He's got 2 more back over here.
The 2 Templars do have...
This is where the push is happening.
One of those Templars has 3 Storms on it because he does have Kadaran Amulet, and that's like a maxed out energy one. So he does have a lot of Storms, especially if that one doesn't get sniped quickly. But here he comes. He's coming after the high energy one. Oh, that was a 250 energy Templar. He gets both of them. And now he gets the one in the back. Dude, this looks bad for Best right now. He has lost so many High Templars. He has not gotten the Storms off he needs. And this is a ridiculous amount of Hydralisks.
Yeah, I mean, the Hydra, the whole idea is you just kill enough of the Templars that the Hydras will win the fight. Now, amazingly, Best with the best macro maybe in the world is still going to win this fight with Dragoons and Zealots, which is crazy, by the way.
He took it in the perfect position there, Tastosis. He was on the high ground against the low ground Hydras, and there's only a thin line of that low ground in the middle of Eclipse. But still, True was focusing up here on killing off the cannons at this expansion with the leftover Mutas and Hydras. Damn, man. This is a sick game. I feel like True is playing really well, but Best is just, like, so dialed in.
StarCraft is a game about priority. a lot of times people think of it like, oh, they're doing everything at once, but that's not true. They're literally doing just one thing at a time. And I think what happened back there with True is he said, okay, well, what's important is that I micro the counterattack. My Hydras will win the fight. And what you pointed out, Tastosis, is that it was like a low ground to high ground situation. So actually, a lot of the Hydras were missing shots. So it was a very bad fight. It was a very bad exchange. And when we saw that skirmish on both parts of the map end, you could see a True kind of blowing air out of his mouth, kind of making a bubble with his cheeks. And, it's like a very Korean, like, oh, man, kind of facial expression. I know that might sound kind of weird for you guys, but if you live out here, there's like certain mannerisms they have. But yeah, kind of realizing, oh, that didn't go at all the way it was supposed to. He's going to come in again with these Templars. He's going to snipe more. And again, it's the same idea. It's hard to pull off, but it's a simple concept. If you kill the Templars, the Hydras are just better at taking fights. They'll kill the Dragoons, the Zealots, everything else over time.
Best just has so much, though. He's made so many Dragoons. The thing is, Best's army needs more retention than True's army needs. True's on 4 bases here, a ton of hatcheries. The Hydras, none of his units are being treated as like, oh, these are kind of long-term units that have to gain me value over time. Like, these are not lurkers, these are not spellcasters. Whereas Best, like, remaking that many Dragoons and getting more High Templars out and getting them energy is much harder than his opponent just spamming out more Hydras here. I feel like True is taking a bit of a lead in this game for sure.
Yeah, well, the one saving grace is this base down here.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. You would always expect there to be a Zergling or an Overlord or something down there, right? To see that, but there wasn't anything. And so even though the 3rd base got beat up for Best, it doesn't matter because he's already got a 4th. And this means it's 4 base versus 4 base. Now, I think True is basically locked in to this mid-game tech. We don't see a Hive coming here. He's remade the Mutas. It's the same recipe for victory that we've seen applied throughout this game. But, if you get up to 4 bases and you're still playing like this, Protoss is perfectly comfortable mining out their main and their natural and then just replacing all those probes with these 2 other bases, right? So I think Best is in a tough spot, and the next couple minutes are going to be difficult, especially if he loses more Templars. By the way, he's like made DTs, but he's not made a Dark Archon with him, which I think is a mistake. I think there's so much going on. He's just bound these into a control group and is moving around. But you can do this all day. But that's true. You can just keep remaking the Mutas. Oh, my God.
Oh, that's huge right there. And look at the DTs actually being really helpful here. There's no Overlord in this army. Like, Best has identified that True is being kind of lazy in that regard. He doesn't even have Overlord speed 18 minutes into the game. So even though he's killing this base, the DTs are helping Best to kill off every single Hydra.
That DT's going to get into the 3rd base.
Crazy.
I don't think True's even watching this. Dude, this is a 10-kill DT. He just now notices this. He's going to realize that, his 2 most functional bases and mineral-rich bases are, like, completely wiped as far as drones go. So he's going to have to go back and remake. Now, again, True doesn't know about this bottom right base. True basically thinks the game's almost over. He knows that about this time of the game, we're at about 18 minutes and 30 seconds, Protoss usually mines out. That's a good time to just sort of assume that a 2-base Protoss is done. He inadvertently sees these probes here and then realizes there's a 3rd base. True suddenly now knows he's still in this game. This is a huge problem. The position of the 1 cannon is not going to be enough, for the other 3 cannons to help it. So he comes in and he cuts off mining from that. True is inches away from finishing this game if he can stop mining at that 3rd.
Well, he's definitely slowed it down at minimum. Best looking like he wants to do a counterattack. I think he's expecting an attack on that base, so he's trying to counter and maybe draw the army back over here. And this might kill the 4th base, but True's economy is much better than Best's right now. So even if he loses this, if he busts this base from Best, Best is simply not mining anymore.
No way. Okay, he gets another DT in here, but there's Hydras. He's going to be okay. I love the DTs being sent around. Is there an Overlord over here?
I don't see
one. Because I see a DT down here.
He needs to get that on the ramp.
There's so many Hydras, this might not matter. Okay, here we go. Dude, remarkably, I think that actually... Well, hold on a second. Best is
True's
pushing
got
in on the
think.
left side of the map.
He doesn't have enough units over here.
I think True wins as... I guess the truth is this army could also come back and kill what Best has over here too, right? So even though Best is getting his pot shots in here, there's probably no way that yeah, there's no way to deal with all these mutas and the rest of the Hydras that are up here. I think just barely True wins this. This was a nail-biter of a game, by the way. This ends with a two-base stride-up Protoss versus a barely mining third-base Zerg.
An absolutely awesome game. You know, Best has played out of his mind, and it just still seems like it wasn't enough here. Like, his style, this is how he plays his Zerg versus Protoss. GG. True with that big upset over Best. My God. I tell you, he is an exciting player to watch right now, Tasteless.
It was a great game. He did a really good job. It's funny. I feel like I'm thinking back to all the games we have where there was Hydras into mutas, which is a lot, by the way. This is a very common strategy. You have it at low levels. You have it at high levels. You don't often see them just remake all the mutas and just do it again immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of times they freeze the mutas, they kill them, a push comes out, the Zerg dies. He froze the mutas, and then as he was coming out, it was just another set of mutas. And you basically never see more than one Dark Archon ever made in PvZ, but interesting move. True locked in, just kept that formula going. Eventually, he got enough damage in there that Best had to tap out. Coming up next, guys, we're going to be going to a TVT here. Different change of pace. It's going to be Mind versus Tastosis. Why am I forgetting who the other guy is?
Barracks.
Barracks is going to be playing. Sorry, guys. So, yeah, this is going to be fun. And are we going to cut to break, or are we?
Yeah. Well, here we are, Tasteless on camera once again. But yeah, we'll go to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have that TVT for you.
Welcome back, everybody. TVT time. We're going to be going into Mind versus Barracks, and you know, Tastosis, you kind of got me a little bit hyped up there early on, explaining the two different styles. I hadn't quite thought of it that way. This should be a fun one. I do feel like if I had to pick someone who might be the favorite, I would go with Mind. What about you?
Yeah, I would probably lean towards Mind a little bit, but if Barracks gets a good opening, he can really run away with the game. He's just like, he's super fast. He's improving. You know, this is a funny thing because I always looked at it from a different angle. But you know, I lived with a pro team in Korea for a while, and the way that they explained it is like, what you can't teach is speed and mechanics. What you can teach is good decisions. And I always thought it was like kind of the opposite of that. And you know, maybe that's just because I'm, you know, that's my point of view, being someone that like thinks about the game well but doesn't mechanically use it well. But they always highly value that. So like Barracks being so mechanically gifted, we've seen him get into ASL time and time again. And, you know, he's had some trouble with his decision-making and stuff like that, but that is continuing to improve, and he's getting stronger and stronger. And honestly, right now, he looks better than JYJ. He looks better than Royal. He looks better than almost everyone in the games that I've seen of him lately. So I'm kind of holding my breath and seeing where this will go, but as far as TVT goes, sometimes your mechanics aren't enough in that. If your opponent sieges smartly and macros well enough, you're not going to break them.
Yeah, you know, Mind, he really does have a very distinct play style. He makes a lot of interesting moves. You know, TVT in a lot of ways for me is kind of the foggiest matchup as far as my understanding goes, but a lot of times I'm kind of blown away by the pretty sneaky, smart moves that he has here. And it's just very refreshing to see Mind come back from a very specific era of StarCraft. It's crazy. I think now StarCraft 1 is 26 years old, if I'm correct.
I think this is its 27th year in like a couple days.
27th?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
It's its 27th birthday, right? Didn't it come out in 1998? I'm fairly certain.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's definitely 1998.
In fact, I think its birthday is like tomorrow, and for people watching this, today.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure. March 28th,
yeah,
I think
the
so.
birthday candles.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, maybe you're right.
I think so.
But we've had all these different players from all over the place, and it's been interesting to kind of see these different eras come back. We've got a lot of players that, you know, for instance, Barracks that we're looking at now. I mean, all these guys have played since the game's been out because everybody played StarCraft since the game's been out, right? But, you know, Mind was somebody who was very dominant in the kind of pre-StarCraft 2 era, the first couple of years leading up to StarCraft 2, but it's so cool to have him back here along with this whole new era of modern players.
I love Mind. He's always been one of my absolute favorite Terrans. The way he looks at the game, just very, very intelligently. I'm excited to see what they go for here. You know, Eclipse, we've been talking about Eclipse TVT because we had to cast some the other day.
Right.
If it gets split, man, it can go into battle cruisers for sure. It's, in my opinion, the quickest battle cruiser map that there is, but of course that has to be, like, you have to be kind of in an even position.
ASL Season 19.
All right, well, it looks like we're ready to get into this TVT. Mind versus Barracks. Coming up next, guys. Let's go. Okay, Barracks here in the top right, Mind in the bottom left. I think I mentioned this in the previous cast, but I want to say it again. We are going to be, at least in my chat, I've sent Tastosis link. I have the links to buy tickets to the ASL. I'm going to be posting that on the Patreon after we have Group C up. But yeah, so it's a link to the English site. Every once in a while, people message me and they say they can't find it or it's all in Korean. So yeah, you can pop by my Twitch chat or check on the Patreon and you'll find a place to buy the tickets. It's got tickets for every day of the whole season.
Excellent. You know, definitely, guys, if you are in Korea or you think about going to Korea, watching esports live it gives you an amazing feeling your first time.
Yeah.
First time I went to one of these live events, I was just like, oh my God, I'm finally here.
Yeah, I had this exact same feeling. I remember it was one of the first things I did from Germany. Excellent. I remember going down. Oh, thank you from Texas. Excellent. Yeah, just getting to go see a live match and just sitting around a bunch of people that also love what you love. Like,
yes.
I grew up in Kansas, and like, I actually had some StarCraft friends, and we went to tournaments together. But you know, I was in the minority. What I did was obscure and kind of weird. By the way, speaking of obscure and weird, what am I looking at? He just made a barracks all the way in the bottom right.
Yeah,
Did?
yeah. It's just a forward 11.
Is that
barracks. Yeah, it's not too weird. It's like
It's not
kind
crazy?
Of,
Okay.
It's a weird position, but Mind probably thought this out and just made sure it couldn't be found. If you're making a forward barracks and an SCV comes up to you, you generally lose the game from there. But like the forward barracks is strong just because you can float it quicker to scout. And
Right,
if your
okay.
opponent is going for either a gasless expansion or they're going for a command center first, the forward barracks allows you to get the game to like evenish, like immediately. Whereas, like, let's say that barracks is main base, and you see they're both going the forward 11 racks, right? So that's just like they're trying to make sure they don't get far behind against anything that's really, really greedy.
Okay, well, that's good to know. But yeah, just to finish that thought, that it's great to see something live like this. If it's something that you love and to be around people that love it. It was so cool when I saw my first StarCraft match, and I was like, you could just hear the oohs and the ahs in the audience. Like, they all know the game just like I did. They all, are impressed by the same stuff. So, yeah, definitely come down and check it out if you can, guys. Get those tickets.
It's great to find your people. And
Yes.
I don't need to tell you there weren't any other StarCraft players in New Hampshire, man. That's for
Yeah.
sure. So, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of pressure here. The two Marines, actually, as Barracks gets down here, he recognizes that there's no Barracks there, so he actually pulls his two Marines back. This is generally how it goes with these forward Raxes, and that's a perfect block there from Barracks. This isn't that impactful. Oh, did he make a third Marine? Oh.
I think so.
That's kind of interesting. We saw like a 3 or 4 Marine opener from Speed, of course, in that TVT that he beat Russian, I believe it was, yesterday, and that he pressured with. This 3 Marine opener, I believe that's just a safety 3 Marines, but he probably should attack with it as well. Oh,
I think so. Marines kind of have a funny role in TVT and TVP in that, like, they're not the units you're making the whole game. You want to get into mechanical units, you want tanks and vultures and stuff like that, but you need to have the bare minimum to get to those tanks and vultures. And if you make too little, you can be punished in certain ways. So, yeah, you never want to overmake Marines because they don't have any utility as the game gets further along.
Now, he went add-on Vulture. That's actually kind of the big thing. I was actually just thinking to myself, I'm glad that you explained that so that I didn't say the wrong thing, but I was like, maybe he's just going to go tank. Sometimes you make an additional Marine or two so that you can go tank first really safely. But he actually went add-on Vulture, so he just kind of got his add-on out of the way, but now that he's made these Vultures, he's going to be completely safe against mine trying to pressure here. That's kind of like a funny little back and forth, like the add-on timing versus do I make a tank versus do I make the Vulture to counter my opponent not making it out and making those Vultures. But he is upgrading something in that, whether it's speed or mines. I cannot tell. Both are playable. And Mind immediately going into 3 factory Vulture.
Yeah, Barracks' placement is really good, by the way. Remember, for those of you that come from StarCraft 2, there is chance to miss from low ground to high ground. And there's no chance to miss from high ground to low ground. So whenever you have ranged units, you basically never want to engage unless you have an overwhelming amount of units where you don't care if there's a couple shots missed. So I like the placement. I like the spread. 3 factories down right now for Mind. Sorry, what was that? Was just canceled up there?
So that, oh my God. Okay, so it was, I believe
academy?
it was the Armory. I believe it was the Armory. And he got in there with his barracks and saw, 3 factories. So you can look at that and say, okay, I don't need, an Armory because he's not making wraiths. But at the same time, since it's 3 factory Vulture, you do have to be careful. Like, look at this. This is a little bit insane because as these 2 come out, if mine comes out, he just kills everything. Oh, he doesn't have the speed upgrade quite yet, so Barracks does pull back.
Yeah.
But he's like playing with fire a little bit. You have to be careful with 2 factory Vulture against 3 factory. Eventually, you have to pull back because they will surpass you in Vulture numbers, and that they will crush a battle.
By the way, I love that Barracks that was landed earlier to block the Vultures from coming out. You might wonder, why don't you just attack that with your own Vultures? You need to have your Vultures up there in the front. There's going to be some counterplay now here from Mind. I think the bunker will make this impossible for Mind to get in, but interesting to see this back and forth. And that's probably the best usage of those Marines you can have for the rest of the game now, is to have them in that bunker. It's just enough damage that if an overwhelming amount of Vultures came in, the bunker with the rest of the Vultures would just kill that off. Because Vultures basically do almost no damage to buildings.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Now, I want to mention, this is actually a really big brain move from Barracks. And, okay, Mind is getting an armory, but he made Wraith. He made it look like he was going Vulture because, well, I mean, he did make Vultures, but you don't really expect Wraith with this. It's kind of a light-esque move that he did. But now he's going into the Siege Tanks as well. Luckily for Mind, he already had the Armory started. If you don't start the Armory till the Wraith shows up at your base, you end up losing so many SCVs, it's actually insane. So good thing that he has that on the way. This is just like I would call this like a pretty even position. It's better tech right now for Barracks. I would imagine Barracks probably has like a couple more SCVs at least. Normally 3 Factory Vulture gets a little bit lower on SCVs. But Mind has mines everywhere, and he has overall a bit of map control. So, you know, you look at those two positions, and yeah, that's generally considered pretty even in TVT.
Okay, that Barracks is going to land. It'll have to be remade, by the way. It's easy to forget, but the Barracks is required for the factory. We are in a phase where, you know, if they're both on 2 bases, you have to start to ramp up, you know, the amount of factories you have. So he needs to get that set up right away. A scan here is going to confirm, and they're both checking here. Nobody's got, you know, extra bases right now. Oh, I spoke too soon. Mine just started his. And Mine has a very nice mine layout here. So it's going to be very difficult for Barracks to move on the map without Mind knowing exactly what he's doing.
Second add-on coming up. Looks like a dropship on the way here for Barracks. It's all kind of like a little bit predictable, and there's a lot of mines around, so it's going to be hard for him to get that through without being seen as well. I love that his Wraith is able to go over and scout everything. There's a lot more utility going on here for Barracks, and just kind of like brute strength for Mind. So, not what I expected. It's almost like they're using builds that each other would be more comfortable with in a way.
Yeah. By the way, this dropship coming down here, it's going to go over the mines. Mines have, like, very, very low vision, so even if you go over stuff, unless it's a lot of mines, sometimes you might not see it. So, you know, technically, the blue blip did show over those red mines, but I don't know if he's going to be actually ready for this. He's going to come through here now.
Yeah, he sent a Goliath.
Is there a Goliath?
He's making a Wraith as well, so he definitely 100% saw that. And this will crush this drop for the most part. You can still get a few SCVs with it because, you know, Goliath isn't going to kill the Vultures that quickly, but he brings his own down here as well. And yeah, the dropship on a one-way visit here to the main base. Very good block from Mind.
Yeah. One-way ticket to the base over there. Great handling of that drop. We have more Vultures moving out now for Barracks. He's going to run up here. There's not a lot to defend for the time being. You know, 3 Vultures will one-shot an SCV, so you can get a lot of kills over here on those workers. It looks like Mind's going to have to grab those and send those to the natural for the time being. The command center for Barracks has finished. It's being floated over to the 3rd. So Barracks is, you know, a couple notches behind here as far as economy, as far as income, and you can see that Mind's slightly superior supply post-drop. But he's going to have he's going to have his SCVs sent over there right away.
I love what Mind is doing here. Barracks getting into his 2nd starport as well, so he's going to be going for some heavy Wraiths here and trying to kind of catch Mind a little bit off guard. We'll see if that actually occurs. And, you know, they've both been trying to do, like, a little bit here. Like, Barracks was running in for some harassment. You know, you can definitely look at it compared to how Speed played, and it's not quite as much harassment, but still Barracks, you know, he's putting in the work here and trying to make things happen. But Mind just seems to be blocking everything very, very well.
Oh, my God. Takes out that tank, completely swatting Barracks away over here. No expansions in the bottom right just yet. We do see Wraiths being accumulated here for Barracks. Bigger factory explosion down here for Mind, who I believe doesn't have any starports, right?
He has one with an add-on. I don't know what he's planning on doing with that. Hopefully not Wraiths, because if he is, then Barracks is going to get really far ahead. And honestly,
the
hopefully
one-
not dropships.
The one thing that's
Barracks,
not an answer
yeah.
to wraiths is if they already have like 4 or 5, is you start to make your own wraiths. You're just going to be in a losing
true.
race.
So true. He might actually go Valkyries. Like, pro Terrans can't help themselves. They see a Wraith and they make Valkyries. But here come those cloaked Wraiths, and he's going to be able to pick that off. It's such a strong move in TVT, because this stage of the game, you're so focused on unit movement, because like if tanks show up at some location you don't expect, it can just kill you, and you have to remove a lot of mines. So you're using all your scans like that. So a move like this, it goes undetected a surprising amount of the time. And look at this, he's got very little anti-air here, and this is allowing Barracks to get into a very strong position with these tanks. I believe he's just going to siege that 4th base area, and if he can siege that and keep that area as like somewhere that Mind can't break into, that's deadly.
Huge plant of mines over there. Even going to try to slip up here with these wraiths, just try to kill some SCVs. Anything you can take, you'll get. Oh,
Are
my God,
you
that was
kidding
sick.
me?
That was sick.
He lured him into the one remaining mine. That's so funny.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was awesome. You know, he's going to have a couple more wraiths. We're seeing glide across the screen over here. 3 more to meet up with. I think what was 5 or 6 already over there. He ended up making 1 wraith, but you're right, Tastosis. He's going to go into the Valkyries. He's got cloak now. Right now, Mind is kind of stretched thin on Goliaths, so he's kind of slow dripping 1 Goliath at a time over here to try to deal with this. And I think Barracks has realized, I could probably just come down here and go into the main. And, you know, 1 Valkyrie is not going to cut it. You probably want, like, maybe 3 or 4 to take this on.
Yeah.
He's going to cut. Oh, dude, look at the split. That's so nasty.
That's exactly what you need to do against these Valkyries, is split your Wraiths up. And it's exactly as you said, Tasteless. Like, you actually need Valkyries to hit, like, a critical mass. Now, Barracks coming down, and he just wants to break this position. This is so strong from Barracks. This is so strong. He's setting up his 4th base during this time as well. One thing to note is that, like, this is like a highly aggressive way that Barracks has been playing this. He doesn't even have +1 yet. Whereas I will bet you anything that Mind has +2 on the way already. So even though, like, Barracks, I would put Barracks ahead right now, but there's still potential here for Mind. You know, he's getting great upgrades. He has a lot of units. The supply is not that different. The 4th base isn't mining yet. It's going to be here shortly. Yeah, it just finished up. And he, like, dude, this is a crazy game, though.
This is wild. This is very, very crazy. I think Mind is almost to the point where he might be taken out here because there's just not enough Goliaths.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Wraiths, it'll take a while, but they will kill all these tanks off. And the only thing that, you know, Mind has going for him is he's got this 3rd base, but Barracks is on a 4th base. Barracks is catapulting ahead in supply. If there's any way that he can get over here, Barracks can and do damage to the 3rd, I think the game's over. But Mind basically has a small amount of time to try to cobble together something to get out of this position. The pressure just keeps building up here from Barracks as he's sending more and more units down here to try to crush this position.
I think that was his last chance. As these units come down for Barracks, if Barracks just sieges and sits, it becomes harder and harder and harder. I wanted Mind to actually move up right before those 3 tanks got back. So his window is definitely going away. Oh my God, 3 Vultures sneak up into this 3rd base. Well, I tell you what, Tasteless, like, we have to really start reevaluating Barracks. Like, he's playing.
Yeah.
You can see he's getting smarter and smarter. His moves are better and better. His builds are better prepared. He might literally just be like our next godly tier Terran. You know, he might
kind of
replace...
reminds me of looking at. Yeah, so it reminds me a little bit of like how Calm looked yesterday. You know, where I was like, dude, he's so good. You know, it's really impressive. These guys are continuing to level up. But you might be right, Tastosis. I mean, Barracks might be on another level. And we had just finished reevaluating Mind just a season or 2 ago.
Indeed.
You know, going, damn, he's really gotten so strong.
Yeah, and Mind is in good shape. Like, he is a strong player right now. Now, he is trying to break through. I think his +2 must have finished. He has a good amount of Valkyries here, and so he should be able to beat all the Wraiths up. Might need another scan there, but yeah. Clears them all out, and you can see just how badly Valkyries eventually beat Wraiths. He's cleared that area, and now he can finally go up and take his 4th base. But Barracks has a pretty good advantage right now. He's got a good supply advantage as well. His +2 is definitely not done. You know, he just barely finished +1, so it might be a while before he gets that. And now Mind with a bit of counterplay here, going after the SCVs in the top left. Really, really important. He can't let that base stay up.
Yeah, that's a huge play right there.
Oh.
Oh, hold on. He's going to try to push down here now.
This could be like
And
a game ender.
Yeah, there's one Wraith, which is just absolutely not enough. I mean, a Wraith takes forever to kill a tank. He just pushed right in over here. This armory's not upgrading, but, I mean, just getting some kind of a contain. You know, it's pretty rare in TVT when a game's gone on for this long that you're able to just kind of get into this position where you can actually contain them for where all the factories are going to rally out of. But if he could keep that up for a little bit, he could start to bunker and hit the 4th base and the 3rd base and other spots.
Barracks continuing to try to bring some units down. He actually went through the minefields there, so lost some units on the way. Not a lot of units for Barracks across the map right now. He continues to send in little groups of vultures for more harassment. I think he killed the SCV making the 4th base as well. When you're killing like a few tanks and relying on Goliaths not coming up with your few Wraiths, like that's always kind of a desperate position. And now +2 is done for Barracks. Barracks is pretty close to finishing this game off, I think.
I think it's almost over. Mine just barely has an economy that's functioning right now. And, you know, it's like he had this moment of brilliance where he kind of broke out on the map. We saw the vultures hitting the SCVs up there, but I think the cumulative amount of damage that has been accrued with the contain that was going on maybe like 6 or 7 minutes ago that, you know, Mine couldn't do a whole lot of, has just started to stack up. We're at 128 supply to 168. And even though right now the position that Mind is in is not that oppressive, I don't know that he can catch up.
Yeah. There's just not really enough left. Like, basically, Barracks can seesaw back and forth and just hit different locations with his massive army. And he can trade at a deficit because his economy is, like, twice as good as Mine's right now. And you can see, like, this is incredibly annoying for him. Now, Mine is going for kind of a very technical army here with, like, Wraith, Valkyrie, Siege Tank, which isn't a bad idea, but he's just going to get swarmed. Like, Barracks can just pump out non-stop units here.
Well, he's going to have to keep these 2 bases alive or the game will end. He's spilling down with these vultures. I think he could lay a couple mines right on these tanks and just shatter this position. The 2 vultures up here at the 4th base of Barracks have just been cleaned up. Kind of a funny role reversal, by the way, where we see now Mind, the dominant player, with the Air Force here. By the way, I had a question I wanted to ask you earlier, Tastosis. With Valkyries, it seems like if you're like really close to them, their missiles kind of like fly around the thing they're supposed to attack. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they do these weird spinny things. Yeah, it
Does
feels
that delay
like
the damage?
I think it does delay it. Like, the little missiles actually have to hit. They actually shoot a bunch of little 5-damage missiles, and they kind of spread out and then go towards the center again. So when you're close, it looks a little bit silly. Yeah, I don't know the technicalities behind it exactly. Valkyries are such, like, kind of a fringe unit that we just use in weird timing attacks and in TVT to massacre Wraiths. But that's about it. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder if you're engaging with a small amount of Valkyries, if there's like a trick where you want to have like all your stuff in front of it, just like you would with a tank, right, where it can't hit you, but not as dramatic, of course. By the way, a push going to come in here. I don't see any vultures to protect this, so this backfired horribly. Barracks is probably going to lose all of these tanks as he doesn't have enough to deal with this. The Cloaked Wraiths take out the Valkyrie. They're going to come down here. Are there Goliaths in this position? Because I just see tanks right now.
No, you would never make Goliaths from this position. When you have, like, Valkyrie Wraith, you're just like, yeah, every other bit of gas goes into these siege tanks to try to get a good position here. So this was actually a really good play from Barracks to remake some Wraiths here and pick off the rest of the air units. We're really getting right to the end of this. There's, like, nothing left for Mine. His natural's gone. His main is pretty much gone. Obviously he's mining from his 3rd again, but his 4th is under attack, and that's going to be it. GG. Barracks goes to the winner's match.
GG is called. Barracks had a great game. Basically the whole way through, he just kind of kept that lead up. I'm not sure exactly where Mind went wrong, but you can kind of see that lead get further and further along here, and there just wasn't a whole lot Mind could have done.
No, no. Barracks definitely outplayed him a bit there. He had some very good moves, you know, sneaking his tanks around, getting them into a strong position. It was really that switch into two-port Wraith that won him the game. It allowed him to break a few tanks at the fourth, get his tanks into position at the fourth, and if they ever siege there, I never see a Terran win once they've lost that position before they take their fourth base. That's like probably the most powerful position or most important position on the map.
Yeah. So this means that we're going to have a little break, guys, coming up here, and then it's going to be Barracks going up. Well, what is it, Best? No, sorry, Best is in a losing match. It's going to be Barracks versus True coming up next, guys. It's going to be a blast. We will be right back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm super excited to see this match. True versus Barracks coming up here. What a pleasant surprise that True is in this tournament, by the way.
Yes.
To be honest, I hadn't thought about the guy for a while.
Yeah.
You know, he had this incredible performance in StarCraft 2, and like we said before, you know, a lot of these guys, they take a step away. It's not like the game's going to go away, right? Try some different stuff, but he came back and he's looking so good. He might very well just get out of this group.
There is a real possibility. You know, True has been back for a few years grinding, and he's been kind of just raising his skill levels slowly. Like, obviously, he got high on the ladder quickly, but more recently, he's actually been able to kill these top pros sometimes, and that's super impressive. Here, going up against Barracks, I think True does have a chance. True's Zerg vs. Terran is very, very different from a lot of players. First off, he plays... Sometimes he just flips a switch and plays kind of like, I don't know, someone like Jadong from back in like 2007, 8, that type of, like, unbelievably, like, oh, I smell blood, and it's just Lings and Mutas from there, and he tries to kill him. He definitely does that a fair amount. But at the same time, he is, in my opinion, the best late-game, low-economy Zerg that exists right now. He can sit on 3-base Hive and do things no one else can do. He actually reminds me of Dark in StarCraft 2, where I'm like, oh my god, you're like, you don't even need gas in the late game. It's insane. So I hope we get into one of those games. You can see what I mean by that, but we'll see.
All right, guys, this is the winner's match. Whoever survives this is going on to the round of 16. Let's do it. Okay, we've got True here in the top left, Barracks in the top right. And, yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny. We were talking at the start of the show, like, okay, well, this seems like it's a tough group, but we're pretty sure that, you know, True is going to have a tough time unless he surprises us. Well, he surprised us. He looks really good. There could be a world where he advances and he becomes this dark horse player of ASL for the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
So
a real
TV's
possibility. He's dangerous, man. Like, he won that ACS tournament, and they changed the rules for it, where, like, I think it's something to the effect of anyone who hasn't been in the round of 16 can play in it. So it's like a ton of pros in it as well. And the fact that he won that and got that direct seed to ASL, which that's another thing they changed about it, which I think is a great change. It's awesome. That's a 7 pool, my friend. That is a 7 pool.
Wow. Dude, I was about to ask you all about the minerals of the expansion, and if because there's like space back there, can you fill it up with turrets more easily? And if that's true, does that make this like a better TVZ map? Who cares about that? It's going to be a 7 pool.
Yeah, so 7 pool. To your question, you can't repair turrets by your mineral line, so like you can make them, but if the mutas decide to kill them, there's no saving them. But
okay.
Yeah, so the 7 pool here. If Barracks scouts it coming, he should be able to hold it without too much trouble. I'm surprised that we're seeing a 7
opposite
pool.
direction.
Yeah, okay, so the Barracks SCV likely will scout and go in the other direction, but not 100%. Some Terran players like to be greedy and just start their second depot with that SCV and just skip the second scout, but like if he does that, there's a very good chance that True just kills him. It's like, if you don't see it coming, because he has to pull SCVs. You simply have to bring SCVs down.
Here's the second scout.
Okay, that's important. Now, True sees this, so he'll try to go around it. If he can go around that and just, like, make Barracks think, okay, so Barracks knows that he's in the top left.
Wait, he's going to go right into it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can't believe he did that. Okay.
Yeah, he
So
should have bowed out. He should have bowed out. That's rough. Now, a bunch of SCVs being sent by Barracks. If you hold this, you should just win. 7 pool is not...
I think the last time we saw a 7 pool was Sulky doing this, right?
He did it on that, roadkill map or whatever against Light and got smashed. And everyone's like, why'd you do that? He's like, no, that was great. Okay, so the Lings actually get in and they kill the first Marine, so that's good. But... 4 Lings that are slow. Okay, he brings 2 more up. That can, if those 2 can catch the next Marine coming out, then we're on to something.
Well, it looks like he might even get this. Oh, no, never mind. I thought he was going to get that for a second. Oh, he should have used those two
Yes.
lings and put them where the Marine
Yes.
pops out of. You can predict where it's going to come. He gets that Marine. He's going to get this. Oh, my God. Okay, hold on a second.
He has 2 lings sitting at home. It looks like they probably caught the SCV that was there, but he definitely needs to send those across. Okay, gets another SCV. And there's a lot of, like, missed mining going on. True does have another hatchery coming. I still think Barracks is ahead. I'm pretty sure that Barracks is still ahead, but I like how True's following it up with 3 hatch, and he's bringing a lot of lings to the front. So, like, this will probably force him to keep some additional SCVs there a bit longer. These 2 lings, as long as they stay alive, that's 2 more SCVs not mining.
Yeah.
He's looking for an overreaction.
I don't know the whole 7-pool strat that well, but it does seem like when you do this TVZ, the idea is that you have slowed the Terran down enough, maybe you can develop a little bit more quickly behind it.
Yeah, it seems here
God,
that...
but it doesn't seem like he has a lot of drones, right?
He definitely doesn't, but he has a similar amount of drones mining to SCVs mining. Yeah, this is an important thing. You have to kill this SCV. You can't let him go. If he goes and sees the 3 hatch, he's going to know what's up, because I think the plan here from True is to get the slight overreaction from this point, and with 3 hatches just drone up like crazy.
So he is going to get the deny, on that SCV. We still have 3 SCVs not mining, basically plugging this up. The expansion has started for Terran, and Zerg's just now started mining gas. Terran has a second SCV I can see on the mini-map that is going to be able to get in here. And there's no sunken colony, and there's no links to deny this. So he's going to get the scout off finally.
This'll give him a very good amount of information. I believe he already started the academy in his base. I wish we could jump over and check, but you know, True has actually done a very good job here. He starts the layer. I believe he was in vision there. So Barracks did overreact slightly. I still feel like he's in an okay position, but 1 Rack's Academy is a really good build against 2 hatch, but it's a really kind of weak choice against a 3 hatch play, because you can't actually really put too much pressure on. Like, you can do something like this, but he can make 1 sunken, and he's 100% safe. And then, like, as the medics come out, you can add, you know, another one, because they're just not producing that many Marines. Yeah, you can get quicker stim and quicker Marine range with it and everything, and that's why it can be good. Oh, wow, he's not making anything. He better be making lings right now, Tasteless. If we see another Zerg just not make any static D and die, I'm going to be sad.
If he also gets a bunker behind the minerals over here. So he's going to move in. Uh-oh. Stray Marine gets pulled out, and it's not able to save that one. You have a very, very short amount of time when you do a Marine push like this. It really makes you appreciate how slow Marines are when they're not stimmed running around. So he's going to go ahead and try to head back.
I think he can kill these Marines.
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe.
Because these 6, he needs to turn these around right now. Yeah, see, so the Fire Bat here needs to come out actually and help. Speed finishes. Oh, is he just barely not going to get these?
Well, the Fire Bat's doing work. It's somehow not been killed. It's got to be super low on HP. He's... Oh my God. Okay, I think he can actually break this. Keep in mind that depot is still damaged.
With the Fire Bats there, you got to stop, though. That'll just get gross.
Yeah, well, when we take a shot back at the base, you can see he was already ready to give that up. Drones were hatching. But that was a great cleaning of those Marines. He really shortened that all out.
He did very well. True is actually playing some high IQ games here. Like, he has some very good plans. He's executing them well. Like, I am a hater on 7-pool. I don't think it's a very good build. But he did a great job there. Is that an additional Barracks? Is he going 5 racks here? 5 racks? Oh, my gosh.
I think so. I guess he's making a bunker over here. It's kind of wedged between the 2 depots. Wow, he went for Burrow.
What?
I can't even remember the last time we cast Burrow, before 8 minutes. Like, we don't really see this very often. By the way, I actually think Burrow's great. I think it's... The thing is, you're kind of tight on gas in ZVT. So, like, you know, it's the price of a Mutalisk, basically, to
Yes.
make it. But, you know, maybe it's good when you get a bunch of kills on
Dude.
Marines because it's so small that, dude, I can't believe we're seeing this. Oh! Sick.
Fire bats are good.
Oh, my
though.
God, and he loses the fight?
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. The fire bat just heroed everything right there by itself. Now, mutas are on the way, and a third base for True as well. When he flies in and sees that this is 5 racks, I like True's position here more than Barracks'. Like, I really do. And then once you identify that this is actually a 5 Barracks play, like, you can just... Obviously, you're going to make a lot of mutas and a lot of lings, but he should just go up directly to Lurker because the starports are going to be late here. I feel like True just can get a lead in, like, every single way.
So we didn't have time to talk about it in this game, but the mains are just huge on here. It's this sort of banana-shaped main. And there's, like, so much room to kind of fly around and punish stuff. It could be really, really difficult to deal with. So he's really taking full advantage of this. He's going to go ahead and bleed out these 2 towers over here. Super annoying to deal with Muta Harass, it feels like, on this map.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh.
so
Still trying to
funny.
utilize those
He, like,
burrows.
damaged a Marine, and he's like, oh, just bro it. And, like, you can see that Barracks is not paying attention. So
Not at all.
So he actually ends up getting to do this thing where he comes in from behind.
Okay, the mutas need to rotate out and help deal with this. Like, if he loses by just a random attack into his natural because he's busy harassing, that would be really, really sad because True, again, in my opinion, I think that he's winning this game right now. I think he's in a pretty good spot. And all he needs to do is, like, bust this army, get into lurkers, and the counterplay from Barracks is going to be minimal at that point. But look at this.
Okay, he's going to go for the dive.
Yeah. Okay, dives in here. The firebat gets picked off. And he will clean this out, so he doesn't lose drones. That's number one, is don't lose your drones here. He has a lot of lings. He has a lot of mutas. He's on 4 hatch, so he can replace this army pretty well.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. Talk about waiting for the last possible second. Now, Zerg's getting the 3rd base up. There's a lot of lings coming out here. Again, 1 firebat in this mix. He's going to just barely not take any damage from that firebat. We should have the lurkers coming in here in a little bit.
Hopefully.
Oh, is he just... I'm sorry, did I make up that he has a den? Did
No,
you see
he
a
has.
den back
He's had
there?
a den for a while.
He has a... Okay, I keep expecting Hydras to pop out
Me too.
here. But he's already started the Queen's Nest, and, you know, usually you get, like, a bunch of lurkers, and then you tech into Hive, but whenever you see a Queen's Nest, it's basically always a sign that a Hive is just around the corner.
Yes. And, like, yeah, he should go to Hive, but the fact that we haven't seen any Hydras pop yet makes me, like, a little bit nervous. Like, okay, we finally have some lurkers being made, and True has a pretty reasonably sized army. He has a ton of Zerglings in here. But if you clump this army together right and the Firebat's in a good position, the Lings are not that scary. Like, see that? That little guy goes right to the front, man. He's got 1 base armor, 50 health, and +1 attack. He's doing 18 splash damage to everything in that cone. It's insane how strong Firebats are against Zerglings. He's got to pick that off at the beginning of the battle with the Muta.
Yeah, 100%. Basically figure out where that is, if it's on a corner, and try to clip it off. We've got the Science Vessel tech coming here, but it's a little ways away. You know, had True gone for hold position lurkers, it could have been very strong back here. You know, the Science Vessels were very greatly delayed. Now True's going to be moving out with kind of the classic Zerg mid-game army here, and he might be trying to take a fight here on the map.
Well, he runs
Oh
right
my
up with those
God.
lurkers. He will get a few good spines there. I think Barracks took that fight as well as he could have. Now he's killed off every Muta, and he's killed off a good amount of the Lings. And he does have an add-on. Yeah, see, he has a Siege Tank with Siege Mode already, so he should not be dying to this. True should really just try to slow him down. Like, he should basically leapfrog backwards with lurkers and just kind of force Barracks to try to deal with this. You know, make him use up as much time as possible. Because when your opponent goes for these Siege Tanks, as soon as you get Consume, the Siege Tanks become, like, their value goes from, like, 100 to, like, 12.
Okay, he's... oh my God! He's just not scanning over there. He could lose everything. The army that was positioned to try to hit that third base is instead going to hit the natural. I don't see anything. Oh, never mind. There's lurkers hatching right over here. He's going to get actually a lot of kills on drones.
Yeah, he did.
Honestly, not bad.
That was
a lot of kills.
That was a good attack. He lost a lot of Marines on that ramp, though, where he wasn't looking. That was a bit painful. He doesn't have nearly as much supply as he had before. And he really needs to get out on the map is the main thing here. And that's why he's like trying to break through right now. Like, he has no time to waste. Like, Defilers could be here soon. And if he's that close to you with Defilers out, you're going to lose.
Okay, he's going to move in again.
Dude, he really plays so differently from the other Zergs. You never see a game like this at the pro level. The way that he is aggressively trading the whole time, it actually reminds me of the ZVP that we just watched with him. Like, he just keeps going up and engaging.
Well, you never see Zergs, like, plow into Terrans right outside their natural, right?
Yeah.
ZVT is kind of a cat and mouse game. You're sort of the guy playing keep away for a lot of this, but he's just running up there and trying to punch the Terran in the nose. And honestly, he's reset the unit count several times now. But we have the Vessel here, so the push is going to be very, very, very strong. And I'm worried now that, like, maybe there's not enough to deal with here. He's going to be able to get the Dark Swarm up so he can sandbag progress in that sense. But, you know, the Zerg has really not accumulated a ton of units like you would normally in a game like this. Normally there's a ton of lurkers out here. The mutants would still be alive, everything like that.
Yeah, the unit trading has been insane this game. But now that he has Defilers out, the Siege Tanks, like, the best you can do with this as Barracks is just kind of keep walking around and finding areas where it's like, oh, there's no Dark Storm here, you get a little bit of damage. Dark Storm comes up, you move to a different area, and you just keep on kind of doing that and looking for damage anywhere you can find it. But what we're going to see from True is actually, I'm thinking and hoping, as long as he does not die here just randomly to, like, not having a Defiler. Okay, he has one there. I think we're going to see that 3-base grind that he's really, really good at. Great targeting there, by the way. I love to see the Siege Tanks target down the Defiler before they unsiege. Really, really strong.
Yeah. Very important little tactic to get rid of the Defilers. We don't have any more vessels being made, interestingly. He just has this one. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I haven't seen other ones yet.
Well, I guess two, but I feel like normally you just see vessels made the entire game, but here it's like...
I think he'll get into it.
Very close.
Ooh.
Okay.
Nice.
So he's going to go around this push. This is kind of a funny position. You don't see Terran in very often, but the Zerg's basically gotten in between this. They're both attacking into each other over there. The Dark Swarm's going to deny progress. Good snipe on the tank with the Lings.
Yeah, he's picked off quite a few tanks at this point. The one thing we really need to see from True at this point is his Plague. He's very, very good at utilizing Plague through the game. And he normally at this point gets Hydralisk speed and range. Like, that's something that True really, really likes. He loves roaming around with, like, Ling Hydra Defiler, which, again, no other Zerg really does. He's much more Ling heavy in these portions of the game. And definitely we have seen that part at least.
There is this style that I specifically remember seeing Larva do it a decent amount, but just kind of getting Plague and then using Hydras to kind of gun down all the Marines at once.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting close to that kind of a game here. Terran, you know, they can stay on 2 bases forever. I mean, this is kind of one of the core features of Terran is that they aren't stressed to expand like the other races are. But, you know, he's getting a third now in the center right over at 3 o'clock. And, oh, I'm sorry, the SCV was actually killed there, so it's been paused for the time being. But if he gets a third base up, we're going to be in for a long game, if Zerg can't deny that.
Well, he's got the Hydras mixed in now, and you can see the speed upgrade at least is done for them. So we're going to start seeing Plagues pretty soon, I think. Okay, double Dark Swarm as he pushes up to kill this last Siege Tank. Well, it's probably not the last Siege Tank, but the last one he can see right there. Looks like a couple more up here. He does get aggroed in and loses a few extra Hydras. He is kind of spread around. Barracks is doing a very good job of aggressively trading into Lurkers anytime he can and moving around the Dark Swarms. Like, he's really utilizing how open the map is in the center to his advantage.
This is kind of a crazy game, man.
It is.
I do want to point out, True's not on a 4th base. True's kind of trying to force this game to end. and he's made some progress, but, like, you can't just be on 3 bases forever. Like, you do need to get up to a 4th base. You need to kind of get there. You know, TVZ is a funny matchup where, like, it gets base-wise, like, very isometric in different ways. Like, the Zerg kind of is supposed to be growing out a lot and taking a lot of the map, but sometimes in these late-game TVZs, you'll see the Terran get up on bases.
Yeah,
and even
that can
switch into
occur.
that kind of mass factory style.
That definitely can occur. And but remember what I said at the beginning of this is, like, True is the best 3-base Zerg that I've seen in the late game. Like, he's very good. Oh, not this move, though. Ah, no!
Oh, my God.
What are we doing? He's running towards... It's the only thing the Defiler can't run towards is Mass Siege Tank.
Yeah, and then he makes a Dark Swarm over himself and dies anyways.
Yeah.
I guess that Swarm will be there a little bit later on, so it could be used. Not a lot of drones, by the way, on the 3 bases. The main doesn't even have 1 drone per each patch. The push coming out here from Barracks is looking scary. You know, Hydras are good, but when they get outnumbered, they just get wiped by Marines.
He's floundering a little bit here. And yeah, GG.
Yep.
Okay, that was really cool, and we almost had True get into what he normally does. I think he really showed his style, but he was panicking there a little bit later. Like, if you know, this is obviously the big stage. If you actually watch, and you know, people who've watched my Artosis Cast YouTube have seen a ton of True ZVT, but he uses that unit set, but he doesn't play that far forward normally. Normally he's a little bit more collected, a little bit more patient, and he just kind of grinds you with the Plague Hydra with the Lings mixed in. And he was pushing a little bit too far every time, and Barracks punished him.
That was a great series with these two. True, of course, is not knocked out. He'll be going up against the winner of the losers match here. We're going to be having an interview in a sec with Barracks, but first a quick recap. You know, there's a period where it almost looked like he was going to take it up here. I guess we're going to get a shot of this part at the end. Kind of crazy to see him just try to force this by coming down here and attacking over and over again, but basically Barracks just endured it and kind of wore the Zerg down until he didn't have enough to really fight anything. And I think, honestly, the drops probably played the biggest role in why True had to tap out.
That definitely was painful. That took all of his tempo away because he had to bring a bunch of the units he wanted to bring to the front lines up to clean that, and it did damage to him. So that joint thing together is very difficult. But yeah, he was playing a little bit too aggressively. Normally the way he does this is he'll stay a little bit further back, and then he'll just start hitting plagues all the time, and you'll never catch, like, catching those 4 lurkers. Normally he's cleaner than that, and that's really, I think, where he ended up losing this game. And he absolutely could have won this game. Absolutely could have won this.
Great game here. I love seeing the Hydras incorporated there. We're going to go to that interview now, guys, and see how Barracks is finishing. He's moving on into the round of 16.
You're watching Group C of the round of 24 of ASL Season 19. Let's talk to Barracks, who advances to the round of 16 in first place for the 3rd time in a row. Congratulations. Thank you. You have succeeded in advancing to the round of 16 in first place from your group this season. You're sitting here having played very intense matches. You must be exhausted. How are you feeling? Wow, BTS played so well. In all honesty, I think he just got nervous because it's a televised match, and I was able to win. It's tough. I'm tired. The performance BTS showed today was surprising, so much so, even you had trouble keeping up. In that last game, what was the moment you felt, all in all, I've got this in the bag? What was that moment? I was uncertain up until the very end. But when my dropship went into the natural and all the drones died, I thought, I've won this. After opening with a 7 pull, BTS relentlessly raged on with the battles. You must have not had a moment to breathe. What was it like when you were actually playing? Honestly, the first TVT was likewise a close shave. But the last game was a TVZ which I'm confident in. So I thought I would win easily, but I had trouble discerning the situation from the early game. I got confused between 7 pull or 4 pull, or actually 5 pull. I wasn't sure and it gave me a headache. But regardless, you stayed on top of securing the front at your natural, and that led to you moving on to the round of 16. But the early game in the match against Mind wasn't easy either. Your natural was a little later than mine's, but you managed to keep applying pressure on the 9 o'clock with Wraiths, Tanks and Vultures to give yourself an advantage. Do you think this kind of Wraith, Tank, Vulture usage is favorable on Eclipse? This is the macro play I go for a lot nowadays, so I'm confident in it. In the early game, because it's Eclipse, I decided to play a more defense-based style in the early game. So I didn't have the initiative and got cut off. But with confidence, I thought if I play the way I play in practice, I can win. It was okay. I think my macro style is quite similar on any map, not just Eclipse. I like this kind of play. Even before the matches, you expressed that what you want is to show people how you're improving. What is your personal goal for this season? How far are you aiming? Everyone always thinks of a championship run. For me, with improvement in mind, since I aimed for the round of 8 last season, I want to take it one step further and get to the round of 4. And so I'm working hard. Yeah, my goal is to make the round of 4. Barracks aims to take things calmly, step by step, and you are showing this with your practice, your performance, which I guess will fill a lot of people with expectations for you this season. Do you have anything to say to your colleagues and the fans? First of all, for helping me practice, Rush, Sharp, and Snow, thank you very much. And Flash helped me pick out builds all the way till dawn. Thank you too. For versus Zerg, I only practiced with Calm. So I thought, what if I drop the ball? But I just imagined I was playing this TVZ against Calm, and thanks to me having practiced with him, I won. And every time people come to cheer offline, and there's people contacting me to show their support, I'm very thankful for that. It means a lot. I hope you believe in me and cheer for me this season as well. Once again, congratulations on making it the round of 16. Thank you. And there you have your first player through to the round of 16 today in Barracks. We have one more spot up for grabs today. Who will grab it? We'll take a short break and return with the losers match.
And we're back. What's up, everybody? It's elimination time. And this is a really cool match. Best versus Mind. I mean,
Fantastic.
These are two total killers here. Best had a rough run versus True. Mind, he got pretty beat up by Barracks in that last game and kind of never got an opportunity to really recover. It's kind of a slow demise there. These guys should make for a great game. I think Mind is the underdog here. But Best, I find, out of almost all the players that I cast, I have a very hard time judging how he's going to do.
True.
Because sometimes he looks god tier, other times he completely flubs it.
Well, if I'm not mistaken,
In ASL.
when Mind made it to the finals, didn't he beat Best in like a best of 5 where Best did the same strat every game?
Oh, yeah. That's so funny. All right, guys, we're going to go into this match now. Best versus Mind. Okay, so we have Mind down here in the bottom. Sorry, excuse me, the top left. It's Best down here in the bottom right. Cross spawns.
The
And let's do. Sorry.
the main thing I want to say about this is I feel like Mind's superpower in this matchup is finding the opening to attack. Because that's generally like the hardest thing to do in Terran versus Protoss high level is like, okay, when am I actually supposed to attack here? Because you have to do it at the right time. You know, you don't get that many power spikes or windows where you can actually attack Protoss and get a victory off of that. So you have to be a little bit careful, I think, against Mind. Because, like, let's say that Best, like, loses a little bit too much in one battle. Mind is more likely than a lot of Terrans to recognize that this is the correct time to move out. And I feel like he's not very likely to do something like just a blind 5-fact or 6-fact that a lot of Terrans do. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. I think one of the best defining features is that bust play he does so often, where he basically maxes out and just plows through the Terran on their third base. And the number of times he's busted positions where I think, oh, no one can really do that. Like, it's too narrow or it's too well defended. It blows me away. I saw him in one of our ASL casts bust the high ground of a third base on retro, where I'm like, there's just no way. And it was like there was even like a depot for like part of a wall, and he somehow managed to get all his stuff up there. It's crazy. He's so good at moving units through narrow spaces and then having them split into different attacks and knows where to target what. We'll see if we get into one of those games here now, but almost always Best goes for that.
You're right. You're right. And he is probably the best at doing that. But I still feel like he just shouldn't be doing that a lot of the time. That can be a blessing and a curse, I think. You know, I've said this so many times, but I got to say it again. Like, for most StarCraft players, your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness. It's like, because you kind of lean on it, and it's like also how you lose games. So for Best, it would be like, well, his macro is so good in this matchup, and he just... You know, that wins him a ton of games, those attacks, but that also loses him a ton of games. If someone holds that attack, and it's like, okay, you were on, you attacked the Terran, and you're both on 3 bases, and you know now Terran has an edge, and yeah, so it's
exactly.
like, oh, but that's
the number of games we've cast of him where that's exactly what happens. Where it's like, well, you're on 4 bases, man. You just attacked the Terran on 3 bases, and it didn't work, and now you're going to try to get a 5th and a 6th, where maybe you should have just taken the other 2 mains. I mean, we'll see what exactly happens in this game, but yeah, we have a lot of those types of moments here, PvT with him.
Definitely, and that's kind of the beautiful thing about StarCraft. Like, people have superpowers that are also super weaknesses, except for Flash and Sulky. They're both perfect humans, and everyone else is, everyone else is like a minor anime villain.
Everyone else is like a Batman villain of some sort, right?
Yeah,
like it's like, well,
like
I'm the
that.
Riddler. I'm the Scarecrow.
riddles.
I can scare you. I know your fears.
Exactly. Except like Batman, Sulky and Flash are both Batman, where there is no actual weakness there.
Yeah, exactly. It's me, Arbiter Man.
Yeah.
He's got a mask that's just a big Arbiter on his head. Yeah, so we had pretty standard openings. Factory opening into Command Center, Gateway opening into Nexus. These are the, you could tune in any or a StarCraft and basically see this. And so it's going to be a Robo after that. This may be a slow game to start things off. When you're in cross spawns, generally the Terran doesn't want to push. Sometimes we'll see kind of surprise moves like that where they will try to punish a Protoss that is too greedy. But the same thing for the Protoss. I mean, generally speaking, after a minute or two in the game, you can't really do anything too crazy to a Terran player, so you kind of just sit back and macro. Now, in this game, we just saw a starport put in the bottom left. So this is going to be a vulture drop, it looks like. And I think this is one of the only ways the Terran can engage when they're this far apart.
And I love how he's doing it as well. Just the fact that he's hidden that down there. And the thing is, he made it like a little bit late, and you're right. If it's in his main base, it's like harder to get it there. So the fact that he has it down at the bottom, it's going to be a bit quicker. But also, he was able to make it a little bit later, which means he can put this slight tank pressure on first. This is actually a fantastic setup from Mind. Because he's moving in with like the Marines and tank. What he'll do is he'll poke, he'll lay some mines in smart locations. And normally when it's vulture drop, because you have to start the starport so early, you skip a tank completely. So when Best sees the tank, mentally in his head, it should tell him most likely not a starport.
That's a very smart point. The tank is basically going to allow for the drop to probably do a lot more damage. So he basically shows it and then backs up.
Beautiful. This is so, dude. This is. I will be using this tonight. Like this is
smart.
This
is
it's like just
a great build.
The way he walks up and does one shot with the tank, it's just like, hey, I'm here. And the thing is, that's a common thing to do anyways, just to lay the mines. You escort the vultures forward with the tank and just make sure you can get a couple good mines down, and that's it. But yeah, this is like really big brain play. This is very, very smart. I love this build. This is amazing from Mind. I think he's going to kill so many probes,
cool.
Stasis. I think you're looking forward to some great PVTs tonight that aren't going to happen because he's going to lose all his probes.
Yeah, that's funny how that Citadel can go right underneath that building, by the way. That's interesting. I didn't realize you could make things that hidden under there. Yeah, I mean, this vulture drop's going to come in here. It's going to go right through this blind spot. He's not going to see it until it's already unloading in his base. This will also come down to execution. Now, he happens to have his probe over here while he's making that, so he's going to see this right away.
Oh,
and
he gets in. That's so big. Vest was trying to close that all up and wasn't able to do it. Already a ton of probe damage. This is already a super successful drop. And it's just going to get better.
Great. Yeah, he basically had the choice to either evacuate immediately or try to get a building wall up there, and wasn't able to do it. So a decent number of probes were killed. It could have been worse, if we're going to be honest. It could have gone much worse. But basically, Mind's in the lead right now. He's looking really good. The probe count's been thinned out. The tech is not going to be slowed down at all, so we're going to be going into Arbiters. We could assume that because... Wait, I'm sorry, did he forget the Templar Archives, or is that somewhere else?
Well, he had the probe there to make it, and then that probe got picked off. So if he did make it, it's somewhere else. I don't know, actually. Okay, there it is.
Oh, it's over there.
It's in the natural.
Sometimes that'll happen where you get dropped during the middle of like making a bunch of buildings. It is true that a lot of Protoss players, they'll make all those buildings together. It's like the Citadel, the Templar Archives, the Stargate, even the Forge, the Arbiter Tribunals. A lot of times you'll see them all in one little spot.
Now, as far as the game plan goes for these two players, Mind is setting another dropship. I think it's smart to do a secondary drop, but like don't overcommit it because they're going to be ready for it.
Yeah.
But like it kind of rescouts the base, which is important. But when you get that many probes, you always think to yourself as a Terran player, like, should I follow this up with a two-base timing attack? Because that's kind of where two-base timings still work, is after some probe damage.
Yeah.
But he's playing against Arbiter. And, you know, when you get that probe damage off of Starport, your factories are later, your unit count is a little bit lower. He is going to 5 factory right now. That's what I was looking for, is that command center. In my opinion, this is the smartest way that you can do it. A lot of players here would set up a 6-factory attack and try to kill him, but Arbiter is the best tech at holding on against stuff like that. You just run out of scans, they deny turrets near their base, and eventually you get whittled down, and that's actually why JYJ isn't in this season, because he was trying to timing attack an Arbiter build. So love to see what Mind is doing. And look at this dude, he's finding more probe kills. Wow.
I mean, this is insane. He's going to have, like, I don't know, 8 probes of that expansion. The DT drop is a smart move. This basically milks the scanner. So, oh my God, he's got to get this out of here. That's crazy. Mind is basically like calling his bluff and not scanning and trying to get the shuttle. So the idea is that, like, the only way they're going to be able to fight you is if they have scans on the map. So you want to try to bait a scan, pick it up, run away. Kind of cool how Mind tried to handle that. He just, like, would not scan and just kept trying to bum rush the shuttle. So he didn't really get any scans forced out of there, but the shuttle DT is just kind of a good thing to have. I don't personally use this as much. It's probably something I should incorporate in my play more. But I think shuttle DT drops set up really nicely for Arbiter later on.
I agree with you. I don't think enough pro Protosses do that. Like, a lot of people go Arbiter pretty quickly and don't even make a DT. Like, first off, you should definitely have at least one. But, like, I do like just poking in with a drop, just kind of checking what's going on, and maybe milking some scans, as you said. I think it's a very good move. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I think Best is dead. Like, well, not dead, but, like, Mind is well ahead, and he doesn't normally screw up from spots like this. But Best continues to just impress, man. Like, I love the way his brain works in this game.
Okay, so he forces that to scan. He runs away. Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page as you are, Tastosis. Like, I don't know if Best is going to be able to last in this game. He's been tripped up quite a bit. Oh, sick. Perfect. Another scan baited out here.
What was that, 6 or 7 vultures? Man, that's a good
was
DT.
Insane. So, it may be a factor, it may not. I know that there's a science vessel here. One thing that's funny in this matchup is, like, science vessels can be sniped by Dragoons pretty easily. Like, even though the science vessel as a unit is pretty responsive, a lot of times when you have these big fights, it's really easy to run up underneath them and just shoot them. So don't think just because we have a vessel in this game that the scans don't really matter. You need to make sure you have those scans out there. In this game, I don't think it's going to be much of a factor, but we'll see.
No, you're right, though. That's definitely something to watch out for. Mind gets his third gas. He is getting EMP right now. I think he's playing just a beautiful, beautiful game. I actually went back and rewatched Scan's game on this map against Shuttle, because I was like, that was just so beautiful how he dealt with the Arbiter-type play. And we're actually seeing Mind basically follow the same thing. Like, he's going towards 2-1. He's getting vessels and EMP. He's got his 3 gases down, and, like, I'm sure he'll build a 4th command center and kind of float it out as he's getting ready to move out for an expansion. But yeah, just making sure you're kind of tight on your defense and nailing your macro here is exactly what you need to do as Terran.
So Mind is at about 140 supply. Best is at 160, but he'll be maxing out pretty quick. I mean, 2 rounds out of the gateways, and he's going to be at 200 supply. But, this is clearly not a game where Best will be able to do any of that kind of bust play we were talking about. An uninterrupted Best would probably be trying to plow into that third base right now. But
you're right.
Because Mind got the upper hand, we're just in a very different scenario. But when Mind decides to move out, he's going to be really hard to deal with. Now, this map's big. There's a lot of ways you can kind of play hide the ball versus the Terran. And that's a lot of what this matchup becomes. Like, there's a period as Terran's developing where the Protoss could just smash the army very easily. But once enough upgrades kick in, the Protoss has to take this kind of guerrilla warfare approach to the matchup, because generally speaking, you're not able to just run right in there and kill them. It's why we see Stasis and Storm used so much. Like, freeze half of it, storm the rest, see what you can kill, run away. Another thing that can happen, and it's probably the hardest to do when they're only on 3 bases, but as Terran gets bigger, you can try to just counterattack constantly. This map, as we pointed out, I think it was in Group A, you can send Arbiters through the very top and recall, but that never happened here. And recall, it becomes, like, the longer the game goes on, the worst recall can be, just because you're recalling units into, you know, sometimes Terran units that have such. Oh, there we go. That vessel's going to get shot down. Just like I was saying. So sometimes you'll have games where you recall into the main, but there's so many mines, or you know, your army is just so weak compared to theirs that everything dies. So you got to be very careful how you use it.
Here he comes around now with his main army. There's not... Okay, he brings the vultures back down. This is really, really important. Dude, those were great stasises. Oh, my God.
Perfect.
Best is rallying in this game right now. These are just fantastic moves from him. He should be able to pick off a few siege tanks here.
I think he's going to be able to get everything over here.
God,
what he did that was just perfect, boom, nice connect with the mine. He's picking the tanks that are in the back. It's easier said than done when you're running in, because you're taking your whole army and trying to hit a point. And sometimes you'll see players that just freeze tanks in the front or the middle, and then all these tanks in the back are just doing damage as Protoss units are trying to get around the crystals to hit him. But he was very patient. He executed that perfectly.
That was really well done from Best. Like, he really kind of capitalized on Mind being just slightly out of position. So we go from a game that in my opinion, I think Mind was slightly ahead there. Like, he went from well ahead there to well behind here. Now he's playing against 5 base. He hasn't, like, gotten rid of ARBs. Yeah, he got an EMP off there and some of the spells were used, but the ARBs are still there. And he doesn't have a 4th base set up. We're at 15 minutes with no 4th base and no possibility of attack from Mind. I think Best is going to clear this out.
Yeah, another great stasis. Exactly where it needs to be. The very, very top tanks. Get the ones that are in the front. He's going to clear this out. And, you know, we say this all the time to the point where I almost feel like it's redundant, but Best really has the scariest macro. This guy got beat up so early, and he looks like he has not been engaged at all with how much stuff he has.
This was amazingly done by Best. I have to give him so many props, because I think Mind's opening was god tier. Like, I don't expect any Terran to get a better opening than that on Best, and it just didn't even matter. Really, really well done. And Best is basically closing the game out right now. Like, you are not winning from here, losing that 4th CC. He's killing even more siege tanks now. I almost made this joke earlier where you're like, well, normally he would be, you know, just charging into the 3rd base right now. And I almost thought, like, maybe it's better if Best loses some probes early, because then he doesn't throw his army away.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He waits for a smart position to play his army instead of just being like, ooga booga and running in. So, like, maybe...
Instead of just YOLOing it into the 3rd base, like up a ramp.
Yeah, his strongest games are when he loses 10 probes at the beginning.
By the way, basically, in this matchup, dude, I want to blow my brains out seeing this many SCVs on the refinery. Oh my god. And the CC is going to burn down. I think Mind is a little bit paralyzed right now. What we're seeing Best set up is how, when you're doing Arbiter tech, how you close the game out is you take both mains and you fill them up with gateways.
Yes.
And you just kind of run the clock. Try to kill as many expansions as you can of the Terran, but basically you have, you know, 3/4 of the map, and they can't do a whole lot with that. I've seen some other players streaming that are trying to learn the game, and you know, they're coming from StarCraft 2 and they're pretty good. And this is a concept I kind of thought everybody knew, but I've realized a lot of people don't appreciate, is that, like, it actually, you know, it's funny, I guess Best isn't doing it in this game. Best has all his gateways in his main, but generally speaking, and back me up on this, Tastosis, you want to have like 8 gateways in each main.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
no, Tastosis, all the gates go on the main base, and then you just use Warp Gate feature.
You'll do whatever it takes to stop the Protoss players. You can win your ladder matches.
No, you're totally right. Like, you need that, like that, because the actual way that Terrans win games is a push to the natural. Like, if you just look at, like, a huge amount of Terran versus Protoss games, the ones where Terran kills the natural Nexus at some point in the game, those are the games that Terran wins, because you stop the rallying out of the main. You kind of choke up a ton of their units, which makes them really cost inefficient. It makes it hard to get their army together, because the Max Protoss army fights really well and is super mobile. So you just kind of, like, screw that up. And when you have, you know, gates in other mains, you can bring in units from different angles and attack different locations, and it's a lot harder for Terran to contain you.
Yeah, I guess he's not going to need to do it this time around, and maybe it's also because of the pacing of the game, because he did get tripped up. He decided to just get his gateways out now in his main. I think he's got something like 17 gateways in his main. It's kind of crazy. But You know, the truth is that that's usually how you close it out, or at least ensure that it's almost impossible to lose. Now, I don't know that Mind can actually push through all this and then hit the bottom right and contain him, but yeah, I mean, Best macro is just off the hook. It's wild.
He's really in control of this game. I love his 3 groups as well. And nice.
Nice.
EMP, not EMP, but Stasis is going off there.
Nice, not EMP is exactly what that is. That's a great Stasis. And he's going to try to just plow through this again. You got to be careful, by the way, with Arbiters. Like, if they get EMP'd, you are so boned. You don't have any real recourse either. By the way, this is a game where he never got Storm, which I'm a little bit curious about why. Not that it matters because he's going to win this game, but yeah, he's just powered up with Arbiters, Dragoons, and Zealots.
I think just the pacing, the way the game went, like he couldn't get it early, and then he got so far ahead that, like, honestly, adding in High Templars would have slowed him down. It's like he's just, once you beat that first group of tanks, he just brought it down, made it basic, where it's like, yeah, we're just trading. Trade. He's going to run out of money, and I'm not. And that's exactly what we see here. Like, Mind is almost broke right now. He did make one more good army. He knows he's dead. He could GG at any time because this is 0% to win.
I got a question for you. What is the time when Terran likely mines out their third? Is it 21 or 22 minutes and 30 seconds?
Well, it matters how quickly you're taking other bases, too, because you'll start spreading the SCVs a little bit more evenly. When you take a 4th base, you put a lot of SCVs on it a lot of the time.
Oh,
but,
GG.
yeah. Okay. Well, there you have it. Best taking out Mind, so gets a little bit of revenge from a previous match they had. Mind dropping pretty early from the tournament. You know, I love this guy. I think he opened. That might be the best Terran vs. Protoss opener that we see this whole season. You just got him into a really fantastic spot, but Best knew exactly how to play from there. And, man, he just jumped on the first mistake Mind made when he had no mines in front of that group of tanks as he was kind of pushing towards that 4th base area.
It's kind of a hopeless feeling when your strategy works at the start, and then it's like, oh, this guy's so good at just making workers and taking the map and getting gateways up, like it didn't matter. You know, Best really understands how to get from A to Z in a macro game no matter what you do to trip him up, and that last game was a perfect example of it.
Awesome game. And now we get another one. True versus Best, the rematch. Can Best take out True the second time? I am still favoring Best, even though True played so well. We'll see about that, guys. Quick commercial break, and then the final match of the night.
What's up, everybody? We're going full circle. We're going to end where we started. It's Best versus True. This is the rematch. Game 1 was really interesting. There were moments where it looked like Best could pull through, but ultimately True won with that Hydra Muta style we've all known so well. Just kind of forcing it. It's like, okay, you got me with the Dark Archon this time. I'll just come in and do it again. And it made me curious about how to handle this exactly. We've seen Bisu as well have great success with the Dark Archon, kind of blind counter to the mutas, but
Sure.
didn't even occur to me that, like, after you lose all the mutas, you could just remake them and just do it again, right? You don't see that very often.
Yeah. I think that this hadn't occurred to me before, but, well, I'll tell you about it in a second. But Deja Vu, going to be our map here. Final map of the
It's a
night.
glitch in the Matrix. All right, the audience getting their chairs in there. It's going to be cross spawns here. True in the top right, Best in the bottom left. Real quick, guys, one more plug for the Patreon. Consider signing up. Make an account on there, and if you can, sign up for a year. We could not do this without you guys. If you appreciate our work, if you appreciate esports, especially the history of esports, I feel like a lot of what esports has become is just sort of a marketing tool for the new game, which is fine, right? There's going to be new titles we don't even know about that are coming out yet, but you got to give some love to the game that started it all. So please consider going to patreon.com/ASL English.
And I tell you, StarCraft has never been an esport as a marketing tool. That is a fact. This is the least marketed game I've ever seen. So definitely here on its own merit.
There has been more done to erode StarCraft in its incredible history than I think any other game. The only thing I think can come close to it is Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
But, you know, it really is a testament to how incredible of a game it is. You know, battles over IP, over who's in control of it. Periods where all the people that were inside Blizzard that were supporting it were gutted and left. And so the fact that this game survives through everything. And I mean, a quarter of a century plus is how long this has been out. I mean, think of everything else that was going on back at this time, right? This is pre-cell phones. This is like, I mean, what is it, like PlayStation 1, right? Like that's the era this is from. You know, we barely got the internet when this game came out. This happens to be one of the first online games. It's still one of the most competitive online games. So we're really proud to, you know, tell the stories, analyze the games, entertain you guys, but we appreciate the support. So again, just that quick plug for the Patreon, and we'll get back into this game.
So yeah, I want to say one final thing about that. You know, in about 4 billion years, when the sun expands to destroy the Earth and destroy basically this solar system, I think humans will probably be long dead or gone by then. The only thing that's going to be left is water bears playing StarCraft 1.
It's good. Tell those water bears to go to the Patreon, okay? So this game, it was Forge opening, cross spawns, and it's going to be probably a quiet game. This is a map where you can cannon rush, which is probably why Best just defaults into going for early Forge here. But True opened up in a way where you can't really get away with that. I do want to point out on this map, I actually have this map ticked off when I ladder.
Really?
Because I actually feel like this map is too strong for Zerg in ZVP.
The
Lurker Contain on the high ground area outside of your natural is so hard to stop.
Oh, yes, for sure. I've actually seen a lot of, you're completely right, I've seen a lot of ZVPs that look exactly like that on this map.
Yeah, and you can get a third base while still being lurker contained. And there is a way to get out, a smaller ramp outside of your third base that goes on a high ground there as well. But I have had, in my own experience, the most brutal lurker contains ever, to the point where I'm like, I'll sit this one out.
Yeah.
As a competitive player, I got to play to my strengths and try to avoid or overcome my weaknesses, but I would prefer to just dodge out.
Got you.
On this map. It's too hard with the Lurker Contains. In this game, True is going for a 3-hatch Hydra bust, unsurprisingly.
Oh, actually, this is what I was trying to talk about as the game so rudely started. Because True really likes the Hydra Muta. It's not the only thing I've ever seen him do, but it's the coolest, the most different, and the one that he does the most that I've seen. But I actually think opening with a 3-hatch Hydra is the most important part, because if he's going to keep switching into mutas, he can't have you having a giant Corsair fleet, you know? So, like, by opening with a 3-hatch Hydra attack, whether it's an all-in or just a pressure, he gets you to basically have 1 to 2 Corsairs maximum and go right into the High Templars, which his Mutalisks can then pick off. So I think that this is, like, an important lead-up to that build.
I want to expand on that idea. So the reason why you can't get Corsairs when you do this, even if you have a Stargate, is that you have to invest so much into stopping the Hydra bust that you can't afford. I mean, every Corsair is a cannon and gas in price. So once they see that the Hydra bust is coming, they have to just stop everything. And that includes giving up on air. And you might be asking, well, can't you make Corsairs later? Yeah, but you're also supposed to be getting Dragoon range later in the game, so you can't get that air weapons upgrade, which you really need to fight Mutas and Scourge. And it just doesn't quite work out. So, yeah, if he's going to win the same way he won previously, it's going to be off the back of plays like what we saw there. And some of this is just teching in a way that kind of forces the player to have to not have Corsairs. By the way, this 2 Zealot push here was a great scout. You are going to be so prepared for this Hydra bust. You're never going to lose.
But I think he's already started a 4th hatch. Yeah. Like, I think that this is just what True does to set him up for the Mutalisk Hydra. Like, he makes it look like this, but he's like, no, I'm actually macroing, bro. Like,
yeah, it's basically, we had a hard time casting this the first time, but this is basically like enough Hydras to kill your Gateway and your Forge, but then really macro behind it. And, when you're the Protoss player, it's always confusing. You got to really look carefully, okay, how many Hydras are coming at me? And by the way, True disguises this pretty well, because, like, the bare minimum you send to kill the Gateway and Forge is 4. But he'll send something like 7, which is kind of a scary number. But then he drones up behind it, which is pretty smart.
So he forces the cannons. He forces you to not go Corsairs. And best that last game, I felt like he learned a lot about it. Remember that he started mixing in more Dark Templars because Overlords weren't coming with him? It's a very gas-intensive strategy from True. So, like, he's not really getting Overlord speed quickly or anything. I think Best is going to be much more prepared this time. I think he'll get the Dark Archon again. And I think that he'll mix in some Dark Templars, like, a little bit earlier so he can smash the first attack.
By the way, hold on a second. He's going to come in here and try to hit. See this Gateway, how it sticks out more, by the way? This is the new wall-in people use. The Gateway's way forward, the Forge is pulled back. This way the cannons can kind of surround the Forge, and it's a lot harder to pick it off. I remember seeing a couple players do this like 2 seasons ago, and I'm like, why does their wall-in look so terrible? It's because the Gateway is expendable. The Forge, ideally, you never want to give up on an upgrade. Now, in this game, it looks like he might end up getting the Forge anyways. But the idea is that you wedge the Forge in the back, and then you're completely will Gateway later on.
Well, the Hydras are going after that Forge pretty hard. I'd imagine that Zealot legs are almost done here, so he might be able to save it once again. Okay, it actually stopped spinning. Did he get it? Yeah, he did. Oh, okay.
I think he got it. He got it, because that's in range of the pylon. I think he might actually just go for the bust. Remember that 4-hatch Hydra bust I was talking about that never happened in the previous game? I think he might have it here. Yeah,
possibly.
So it seems like he's able to kind of oscillate pretty comfortably between this.
He's got 5 hatches, man. He's got 5 hatches right now producing Hydralisks.
So the layer starts. By the way, I want to clarify something. We were talking about skipping Corsairs and you can't make any, and then there's one flying around. You always make the one, and it's to scout. He like you saw there, he's going to keep flying over because while he's doing all this stuff defending, he's basically going, are you making drones or Hydras? So he says, okay, there were 3 drones there before, now there's 5. Do I see more Hydras coming across the map? Is there a layer? You're trying to the whole time figure out what are they doing exactly. Oh my God. He almost lost the only Overlord. 1 DT could just come out and kill all this.
And he does cancel 2 of the cannons because he has Storm finish. Oh my god, that was an insanely good Storm.
He was actually trying to get the Overlord in there too. I think that's why I came up with that angle.
That would have been
Didn't
awesome.
get it. Didn't get it. Remember, there's no Overlord speed because the layer's late. So like that's the only in fact, he's going to send the Corsair back, I think. Oh man,
No.
that's too bad.
I would have said something about all army hotkey if we were on StarCraft 2, but that was a choice best made, and it wasn't a good one.
Yeah.
So True here is droning up really, really heavily. He's on those 5 hatches, so his macro's looking great. I think Best did a great job holding this with the minimal amount of cannons. He has that Dark Archon on the way, and we're just going to see, has he solved this problem of True's style? Because I think True is going to go into that Spire again. Oh, he actually takes a pretty quick 4th. There's the Spire on the way. So yeah, it does look like True's going to try to play that style once again.
Yeah, we're back into that same game. Now, the Dark Archon, he's got 1. And remember that he's got to freeze the mutas and then kill them and then push. And I don't think he's going to make a second Dark Archon. I don't think there's going to be the Dark Archon energy upgrade, anything surprising like that. By the way, he's remade the Corsair to keep scouting the map. So he's got that 1 Corsair scout out here. Because, by the way, guys, you don't know 100% that they are going to go for the mutas. It's very common. It's probably the most common setup at high-level play. Post, a Hydra pressure, whether that's a bust or kind of a, just a pressure play like we saw here. Some players go into Lurker. But so he needs to keep flying with the Corsair now and just keep scouting and saying, okay, what exactly are you doing? I love the fact that he sent those Zealots into the main, and then he sent these other Zealots out on the map. This is a great way to take advantage of the fact that, it's hard for the Hydras to kind of defend everything easily. So he's just fractioning them off into these different locations and trying to see, okay, where can I kill stuff? Like, these 3, look at this. There's nothing defending this. Best is playing an amazing game.
That 4th hatch under attack of 3 Zealots, I think he's just going to lose it to 3 Zealots. Yeah, he is. Yeah. That's going to go down. He clears the rest of the Zealots, but that 4th base, that's impactful as can be. That's a real problem right now for True. He spent a lot of money getting that, and if he has a 4th base mining, that's the setup that he needs for his Muta Hydra style to work. So I'm a little bit nervous for True here. I think Best is already playing a better game than his first game against True. And that's without a successful cannon rush.
So he's got these Dragoons out here. He has not shown the Dark Archon, by the way. I've been trying to work at beating this specific style of play from Zerg, and it's so funny. It's a problem that I have, but maybe some of you can relate. I move out of my base, and I'm just not ready to look for the mutas. I'm macro, and I come back, and even if I have the Dark Archon, all my Templars get sniped.
That's funny.
It's so funny in StarCraft. You got to have the priority to know what to focus on. So he's going to be moving here. And
Lurkers.
Again, he hasn't shown the Dark Archon. That's part of this. You don't have to blindly go in. Okay, here we go. He's baited him. What's up? Storm it. Okay, now 1 Corsair with the shot and the Storm. That kills everything. Beautifully done. Best is looking ready to take this game if he can just push out.
Well,
where's the obs?
There's Lurkers here. He doesn't have the obs. He's spent his additional money here on kind of anti-muta. So it feels to me like True made this look exactly the same as their first game. And
you
then
can always have an observer at this point in time. He even had the observatory making down there.
Oh, okay.
I think he didn't build it.
Maybe he didn't make it.
That's crazy, yeah.
Wait until he sees a Lurker perhaps or something. But either way, True made this look like the same as last time. He's gone into Lurker. Now, I wonder if he should be attacking here, or maybe as you suggested, set up the Lurker contains. I've definitely seen a lot of strong Lurker contains on this map, but he is attacking with a lot of units here. He's got a Maelstrom, so I think he's going to hold on still.
I think he's okay. By the way, when you're doing this, that was a great Maelstrom. If you're not versus mutas, what I found is the best thing to take is if you see 5 or 6 Lurkers just moving, standing, freeze them. It's great.
Totally.
Suddenly they're completely useless. So at this point in time, I think what Best has to do is just try to push out. Great Psy Storm again. The Hydras, it's a lot harder to try to snipe Templars with Hydras, and a lot of times Protoss can just kind of set up, storm that down, and then move out. So this is where the push is going to kick in. And I think this is what didn't happen last time. It's like the mutas were killed, and then I think Best had to kind of clean up his side of the map. And then when the push came, you know, the mutas just came in and picked it off again. He's 50 energy away from another Maelstrom. And by the way, you know, it was cool to see those Hydras get hit. I do wonder, and I guess we're going to find out in a second, is it more important to just keep the Maelstrom pocketed so that you can freeze the mutas again later on?
Maybe. You know, I think at this point he'll use anything he can to just push this down because it feels like he's very close to just winning this game. So I think any additional damage he can put out there is going to be really, really good. Comes forward into these Hydras. Does he have any more spells left? I think he probably does. 2 High Templars walking up. Okay, none on that one. More High Templar. He's got to have some storms, but I don't think it even matters at this point. His Dragoons are overwhelming. GG! And Best will advance, keeping that stability of always making it to the next round. True put out some awesome games today, Tasteless. I think he'll be in next season, and I think he'll make round of 16. The guy's making like leaps and bounds of progress. He looked amazing against Best game 1. Most of his game against Barracks, he was winning, I think, and ended up losing that. And, you know, here he mixed it up a little bit, and Best just had learned from the previous game, I think, but really good games from True tonight overall.
Yeah, it was a great series. Best definitely made the right adjustments, and you know, he deserves to move on. It's super exciting to see True back in StarCraft 1, looking really scary. I mean, it was a great game. You know, it did seem like this movement with the Lurkers, this was probably a bad idea. We were just talking about how strong Lurker contains are. It feels like, why would you try to attack into these narrow areas where there's Templars, there's cannons making, there's a lot of Dragoons. Like, this is kind of Protoss's dream, is like Zerg running into these narrow areas where you can just sprinkle it with storms. You know, the Observer runs in with the rest of the army here. Look at that freeze. I can't even believe you can freeze that many units with that ability. That looks so much bigger than anything I've ever seen.
Those were clumped up pretty tight. That's one of the bigger Maelstroms I've seen as well, as far as surface area goes. But that was beautifully cast by Best. He played a magnificent game here. He looked completely solid throughout.
Yeah, then the Hydras came in here, tried to gun down the Templars. He basically got the Storms off, morphed the Archon. That is a beautiful thing when you see the 2 Templars cast the Storms. The Hydras try to target him, and they turn into the Archon and can't be killed.
Yeah, that's what you and I did when we first got to Korea.
And that does it for Group C of the round of 24 of ASL Season 19, and our second place finisher today makes his return to the round of 16. Let's talk to Best. Congratulations, good job. Thank you. You yourself probably couldn't have expected it would take this much effort to get through the round of 24. Could it happen again this season perhaps? You must have had doubts playing the games. But now you can go home with a good result. How are you feeling? Back in the day, the round of 24 used to be a breeze for me, but nowadays I'm struggling a little. Today, likewise, after losing the first game, I took damage from dropships in the losers match. I thought to myself, am I getting knocked out again? I should have slowed down. Losing that first game against BTS, it must have been difficult, regardless of you being who you are. It was tough to fight against the mutas and the main composition. And again, in the early game against mine, in the losers match, things got difficult too, as you lost close to a control group full of probes, which would have made many viewers think, is it even possible to come back from this? What was it like for you then? I was filled with regret after the first game. I realized that if I had been more patient, if I had played more slowly, it would have been better. I kind of threw that one myself. I was on the back foot again in the losers match, but took things slowly and it worked out better. It was thanks to that first game. You taking things slowly in a composed manner brought about this classic macro style of yours from the mid-game onwards in the match against Mind, and afterwards in the decider match against BTS, with you having fully warmed up. It was a completely different vibe. You dealt with the Hydra Rush, and you followed up with Zealot Pressure as you arrived safely in the round of 16. Having overcome these moments of crisis in the round of 24, shouldn't the round of 16 play out more comfortably, in a more calm manner. In the round of 16, if I just do well, I should be able to advance to the round of 8. I'm personally not satisfied with my games in the round of 24. I will have to raise my level for the round of 16. There's still time left, so I'll fix some things. And looking at today's games, may I ask, what is the thing you'd like to fix most? Nowadays, I'm playing a bit like a scaredy cat. Back in the day, I used to be decisive, bold, confident. I've become timid. It's my mentality. I have to come with the mentality of a warrior. I think it's the skill of the Tier 3 and Tier 4 players that could have made even you nervous. And you have so much experience. I'm looking forward to the path you take this season. I bet you have things to say to your fans and colleagues. My fans must have been anxious, so thank God I managed to advance. I'm not satisfied personally, but there is time, so I'll improve. I want to thank C from our clan, YB. A lot of our members showed up today, so thank you. Our YB members watching online, and KOP promised he would take us out for a meal. Buddy, we will empty out your wallet. The people will be happy to get to cheer your name today. Once again, congratulations on advancing, and we'll see you at the group selection ceremony. Thank you. And there you have Best as our final person advancing to the round of 16 out of Group C.
All right. Great day of games, guys. This was a lot of fun. I'm so glad we're back, by the way. We missed you guys.
Yeah. And, I mean, this is such a good tournament right now. These first 3 groups, honestly, this is the best start we've ever had in ASL as far as game quality.
Yep.
We've had so many close and great games. We were saying at the beginning of the season that this just looks like the best lineup that we've had. Feels like everyone has potential for upsets, and we've seen that. Look, True didn't get last in this group. We had, Hyun didn't get last in his group either. Like, some of these players that you're not expecting to do well are getting close.
Yeah, sometimes you get a title where there's like maybe 8 good players and they're so far ahead of everybody else that tournaments become redundant. It's not really the case in StarCraft.
Yeah.
So many good players. By the way, that's funny. There's only one Zerg so far, only Sulkies. Now, that's interesting. We'll see how next week goes, but there could be a universe where like it's just Sulky and 1 or 2 other Zergs in what will be a very Terran and a Protoss heavy group.
Last season too. It was Sulky, Hero, and Jaedong only. But
let's see. I don't know that Killer will get out of Group D.
Dude,
I think Jaedong, Queen, those are strong contestants. Yeah. Action, I think for sure gets out, but
yeah.
Oh, and I'm almost missed Hero. Okay, no, we're fine.
Hero, Queen, Action, I think are all going to make it. Jaedong, I think, has a very decent chance of making it too. But Queen, Hero, and Action are all in really good form. I haven't seen as many Hero games lately, but Action and Queen, I've seen a lot of their games lately. They are looking fantastic right now.
Yeah, next week is going to be great. As a reminder, guys, after next week, there is a week off. If you're coming to Korea and you're coming the week after next week, there will be no games to see. And then things resume as normal. It's every week, Monday and Tuesday out here in Korea.
There you have it. It's still so worth it to go to Korea and catch some of these games live. It's just such an exciting experience. Definitely make sure you check it out if you can. But yeah, this has been fantastic so far. I actually can't wait for next week. I'm like sad that now we have a few days off of not casting.
Yeah,
I want to get through all these groups.
It's been fun, staying up late over here in Korea and casting these with you, Artosis. So that's half of the round of 24, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/ASL English. Artosis, any closing thoughts?
It's been awesome so far. I hope you guys are enjoying. I do think next week is going to be much more Zerg dominated. So hopefully that's the case, or, well, Sulky's all you need anyways. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.